out. It's unfortunate that in all of those years, when I learned nothing about who he was working with and who was working under. So if he had learned a thing or two about Mechi, that statement that came from him, that horrendously annoying statements that came from him, that's one that abuses morality to the highest heavens, would have come. I would not be having this conversation. If Amechi had made up his mind to work for Atiku Abubakar, it's not when I'm going to approach to speak. I speak for the campaign, will have instructions to say something on TV or radio. Amechi himself is not press shy. So, training tantrums like that is not, we're not like them. Yes, on weekend, we've got evidence everywhere. It's destroyed local government chairman, like my brother Punabo have said, yeah. So vote the APC candidate for president, our candidate, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, or risk expulsion from office. In the same party, in the same state, we're reading for WhatsApp platforms where they're saying that this is an internal memo and should not be leaked. Unfounded it as leaked.
Okay.
So even when they say they're working for Asiwaju, they're not doing that wholeheartedly. We are not in that kind of hue and shape and character. We come out straight. But for you. Nothing has changed between when the primary was held in May 2022 and now.
Okay.
Permission to work here from the APC.
I'll come back to you to talk more about internal party, situations in River State. But let me come back to Opunabo. Opunabo, let's again go back to, the fact that Amechi was conspicuously absent at Tinubu's campaign rally, something that everyone would want to be, every APC member would want to be associated because, of course, like I said earlier, on all hands have to be on deck to show some sort of support for your candidate. Now, I'd like to ask you about the fact that there's been speculations of a romance between Governor Wike and, of course, the APC presidential candidate. Do you think that must have rubbed off somewhat negatively on the former governor of River State? And I'd like to hear your thoughts on this excuse of him going to law school as opposed to being there for the presidential candidate of the APC.
Well, if I have to speak frankly, I don't know if it has to do with the relationship between Nyesom Wike and Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That is the realm of conjecture. But if I have to speak frankly, I think that probably there is no love lost between Amechi and Tinubu, probably. And that is why Amechi did not attend. Then, because if you also look at Lagos State, the vice president was not even there at the grand rally. He was not even there. The vice president was not even there when Tinubu went stomping. He was not also there. So probably, it's a matter of conjecture. Probably there is actually no love lost between Amechi and Tinubu. I don't want to think that it is because of Nyesom is the one with it. I don't want to think that. Amechi is somebody that is known for his integrity. He's a very brave man. You can't take that away from him. He has the grit. So I don't think so. But if you ask me, probably even what my brother said, probably the law school, you don't know if on that day he has an assignment or not, or if on that day he has a paper to present or so. You can't really tell, Whatever we're saying here we are just guessing. So I want to believe that probably one of the reasons why Amechi didn't come to Port Harcourt was because there was no love lost between Amechi and Tinubu. And don't forget, it also has to do with how the presidential candidate treats the man. It's a conjecture. I don't have the facts. If, for example, you consider, because I know that after the primaries, I think they had a meeting where they tried to bury the hatchet, tried to smoothen out the rats. But what happened subsequently, I don't know. So probably it also depends on how the presidential candidate, Tinubu himself, probably would have treated the man. And if, for example, you try to demean a man, or you want to tell the man that he's not important, or without him you can live, of course, such a man, any man with pride, will just stay away. And that is what I guess. That is what I can extrapolate from all of this. But not necessarily because of Wike's relationship with Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I doubt that.
I'm going to push you further. Since we're talking conjectures here, you know the saying that the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So I go back. Maybe I'm going to ask this question in another way.
Not necessarily. I completely disagree with that aphorism. Not necessarily. And some will even tell you when you hate a man who hates your father, it's a common, what's it called again? An adage in Calabar land. A man who hates your father will never love you. It's also not completely true. Because I know what you're trying to say is that since there is no love lost between Nyesom Wike and Amechi, and Nyesom Wike is hobnobbing with Bola Ahmed Tinubu, definitely Bola Ahmed Tinubu or Nyesom Wike or Amechi will become enemies. I don't necessarily think so. Because it's politics. What will Amechi want from Nyesom Wike? Nothing. What will Amechi want from Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Nothing. If APC wins Rivers State, as leader of APC in Rivers State, or even the South, if APC wins Rivers State, naturally Amechi takes the credit. Naturally. He takes the credit because he's the leader of the APC at Rivers State, and I think by extension the South. But he probably has a reason, which he might not have even disclosed to anybody why he stayed away. My brother is talking of law school. That's probably he has a better information. He's talking of law school. But I want to believe that it has to do with the relationship between Amechi and Bola Ahmed Tinubu, which I think is frosty. I don't think it's smooth. That's what I gleaned from what has happened. I don't really think it's smooth. And I think that is probably why Amechi has stayed away. Since you can be there. It's not just Amechi, even if you look at the vice president, he has really not been stomping with Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Even in Lagos State, the grand rally today, I watched it. The vice president was not there, but the president was there. So it's a matter of choice and a matter of perception. I don't think it really has to do with Nyesom is wrong with you. I doubt that.
Let me quickly come back to Sogbe. Sogbe, let's talk about the APC in Rivers State. This is not the first time that your governorship candidate is running for this office. We remember what happened the last time in 2019. But thank goodness those cases have all been cleared, and now your party is good to go. But what is the situation within the Rivers State APC? Because there are many who would say that your candidate and your party is fighting a lost cause, being that many pundits would say that, Rivers State is a PDP state, and Governor Wike has said he's going to deliver his state, even though he has not spoken about the national. But then, of course, in your case, you have a Tonye Cole, and also several pundits have posited that the former transportation minister has left him out alone in the cold. What would be your response?
Brilliant question. Mira, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Good. We have a Tonye Cole, I call him a Rolls Royce. And in the fray, every candidate out there respects them and not as much. Except they don't know his antecedents, and except they don't get to know what to present to Rivers people. I said it's not known for mediocrity. My brother Punabo out there can either affirm or deny this, but that's the truth. We have a state that has a pedigree, a history, and attitudes to power and politics. Not this mediocrity being exposed to in the last 8 years. If we talk about quality and character and what a leader has to offer, except he didn't watch the governorship debates 2 days ago, and except we're not following us on the campaign trail, anywhere Tonye Cole has arrived at, including at Akoda East today, while Wike was also in Simakoda, he saw the crowds that came out. As a policy in a campaign, we'll make sure that except a candidate for House of Assembly, a candidate for the House of Representatives in that federal constituency, or a candidate for the Senate, that's in Central District, you have no business in that campaign. So if you watch our clips, you see that we'll make sure we restrict people who have something to do with that campaign only in that area. And as we go around areas, we're picking the nuggets, we're picking the people. Most people are extremely yearning for change. And when they say Rivers State is PDP, I laugh. Maybe I recall that in 2019, and thank God for the revelations of God recently in government as Port Harcourt from Wike in his nocturnal visits to Bodilon, how Tonye Cole lost the opportunity to fly the flag in 2019. We adopted Bekomamba Awara of the Action Alliance, African Action Congress, so AAC, Sowore's party, less than 24 hours to the governorship elections, our leader Amechi went to Eleme and made the pronouncement. That was on a Thursday evening about where we're going to face, who we're going to follow. And he noticed that in that election, it took 3 weeks for INEC to make a declaration. Every state in the South, from Cross River to Akwa Ibom, had had a declaration. So that picture that people paint about as a big PDP is a fraud.
Okay.
And I'm also to countenance it.
Quickly, I have another quickly. I have a question because we don't have time. Quickly, so I just want to ask a quick question. I might sound like I'm repeating myself. What chance does your governorship candidate and all the other candidates running for different offices in River State have against the PDP? One, when you talk about the fact that we saw the crowd, anybody can have a crowd at campaigns, but does that amount to the number of people who have PVCs and who are going to show up at the polling units to cast their votes in favor of your party? I mean, that's the big question. And can you tell me, do you have a percentage of all the people that came out as in support of your party, whatever the crowd was, can that amount to votes?
Okay, move away from the crowd. Can you match the quality of the PDP candidates by any means whatsoever with Toye Cole? By no means. And the person is enlightened enough to know what they want. If the PDP is the benchmark assessment, then the man they brought is by no means a match. And you're going to see the results of go to the polls. Match our candidates for Senate vis-a-vis the PDP, candidates for House of Representatives, and also for Assembly. You see the results and you know that we're not here to joke. Okay. We will win.
Okay.
The reason why the party that claims to be on ground is attacking rallies and making campaigns impossible is because that G3. Wike has been living on false hope. They've been working on sinking sand. You will see the results.
Okay.
Unfortunately for us, we're going to have a problem with the weekend elections because the PDP is also going to vote for our candidates for president. So you may want to claim that maybe some of the votes spilled onto our side for APC to win because they also voted APC for president. That might be the excuse. Okay. But by the time we arrive match 11 for the governorship, you will see why we are winning. Okay. There's absolutely no match.
All right.
We have any match at all, maybe there'll be other candidates, not the PDP.
We have to go.
If the same person the PDP states, then they miss the point.
We have to go. We're out of time. We're out of time, gentlemen. Opunabo Inko-Tare is a former spokesperson for River State Governor Nyesom Wike, and of course is a political analyst. Also, we want to say thank you. Sowore Eli is the spokesman for the River State APC Campaign Council. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Unfortunately, time is not on our side.
Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you. Thank you for staying with us. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be discussing the ADC and claims of the party endorsing not just the Labour Party, but the PDP. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
With their so-called experience in 2019, Lagos's poverty rate was 4.5% and today it's 8.5% with 4.2 million Lagosians in extreme poverty. It is only an inexperienced manager that will pump 10 billion naira into an employment scheme to address unemployment rate of 14.6% in 2019. And today, same unemployment rate has gone up to 37.16% with 1.8 million Lagosians having no jobs. The duo of Jandor and Funke have been investing in Lagos's economy for about 2 decades, running their personal businesses, employing people with track records of success. Lagos needs a breath of fresh air. Vote Dr. Abdulaziz Olajide Adediran Jandor as Governor of Lagos State. PDP! Power to the people!
A new day has finally come for citizens with disabilities in Nigeria. You can now participate in the electoral processes without any worry whatsoever. The new Electoral Act of 2022 has made robust provisions to ensure persons with disabilities are not left out of the electoral process. The Disability Act and the Electoral Act has mandated INEC to provide special assistance for citizens with disabilities at the polling booth. As a citizen with a disability, you are entitled to non-discrimination, priority voting, braille ballots for the blind, magnifying glasses for albinos, election day instructions to support the deaf, among other provisions. So, when you arrive at your polling unit on election day, all you need to do is present yourself to the polling officer in charge and you will be given the required support. It is your right by law. Now, nothing can stop you from being part of the electoral process. You are a citizen, and with your voter's card, you are one of the owners of Nigeria. Go out and make your voice heard as we recruit those that will serve us on election day. This message is brought to you by the Campaign for Equal Voting Access, a program of the Center for Citizens with Disabilities, with support from MacArthur Foundation.
The presidential candidate of the African Democratic Congress, Dumebi Kachiku, has accused some persons within the ADC, describing them as criminals. Kachiku was reacting to the ADC's endorsement of the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, and his running mate, Datti Baba Ahmed, for presidency. According to him, the party is being divided into 3 groups and received money from other political parties. The endorsement came on the heels of a grand coalition for the Obi-Datti presidency. Well, joining us live to discuss this is Ahmed Buhari. He's the vice presidential candidate of the ADC. Ahmed, it's good to have you join us. Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Great. Again, we're here talking about some issues within your party. A few months ago, your then chairman of the party had issues. He had taken a few members of your party who had said that they were deposing your presidential candidate and taking the ticket away from him. And here we are again. A faction of your party is going the way of the PDP and one is going the way of the Labour Party. What exactly is going on in the ADC? I mean, this is just a few days to the elections.
So you didn't add that one other party is going with the APC as well. So a faction endorsed the PDP on Saturday, another faction endorsed the APC on Sunday, and the last faction endorsed the Labour Party on Monday. And this is what we've been talking about for months now. I remember you and I on this station had a few conversations with regards to our feelings about what might happen at the end of the journey, and exactly so we've been beginning to experience what is happening. But you know, as much as it comes as as much as it doesn't come as a shock, and then it's funny to have so many parts of the party endorsing different political parties. I think the most important thing that we must realize here is the way I feel pity for these men within the party. This is what they've always done. They've positioned themselves in this party to always come to this point of an election year to negotiate with candidates who would give them money. And I think it's poverty. I've met with these men, I've sat with them, and the bottom line to all their problems is how much money can we make from this process? And that is why I keep talking to people that regardless of the fact that you want to effect change through politics, make sure you have a day job. Now, that day job is important for you because at the end of the day, that is what you will rely on, not on politics money. For these guys, this is what they've always done. It is hunger as it is. I also try to tell people that INEC has been complicit in all of these issues that we've had, because from day one, we started writing INEC with regards to the writings on the wall that we could actually read at that time to let them know that, look, the tenure of this National Working Committee has expired. We need to have a national convention that would help us elect new party officials. And INEC decided to turn a deaf ear. Only until 10 days ago, INEC invited myself and the Board of Trustees Chairman, Senator Akwashiki, with other members of our party to have an arbitration where they invited of course, the faction that just endorsed Labour Party to say, you know what, let us resolve our differences outside court. Because already the Justice Nyaku's court served also the letter for our victory on the 20th of December, where all our prayers were granted under our counsel, Chief Mike Ozakume Chambers. So I think what is important here is, even at that arbitration, even though we're sitting on opposing sides, during the break time, we still had people from that other side, of course, this faction that went to endorse Labour Party, come over to me to say, can we get something? What can I find? I need to transfer myself back to where I came from. So it's just poverty, and we need to really stop this from happening, because it's beyond Kachiku and Ahmed Buhari. We have senators, we have people who bought forms as governors, we have people who bought forms as rep members, and as they're campaigning around the country or around their constituency, they're just getting to find out that the supposed apex body of the party has gone to endorse somebody else. How do you want them to feel? If you know that primarily you are going to endorse somebody else from the beginning, why sell forms? These are people who have sold forms in the millions. There were about 10 presidential candidates buying forms at 25 million naira each. We had gubernatorial candidates from all the states. We had House of Rep members. And you put all of these monies together only for a plan to endorse a bigger candidate at the end of the day, so that you, stage one, sell forms, stage two, you look around and see who is the candidate that can likely pull a campaign and keep milking him till he gets to a point where he cannot give you anything anymore. And then stage three, you go ahead and endorse a political party that was going to give you money. The mere fact that I saw them endorsing PDP, APC, and Labour, I can tell you categorically that it's the same block of people sharing themselves around to see how much money they can get from around. Okay. And so anybody who is dealing with these people and INEC keeping quiet at the same time, it comes as a shame to me. I'm really wondering what you want INEC to do now, because of course INEC has his job cut out for it. But then I have a question. Just hold on, I'll let you get to that. But I remember when this issue first raised its ugly head, I did ask you at the time when you were saying, oh, the chairman of the party had held sway for 17 years plus or something like that. And I remember asking you, before you and your principal picked this party to run on its platform, how much background check did you do? Because this again goes to tell if this was done hastily, out of desperation, or there were corners that were being cut. So again, it points back to you. I want you to answer that question that I asked you a few months ago. I'm going to respond to that question, but I'm going to tell you why INEC is important in all of this. INEC is the custodian of the constitution of our party. INEC has a constitution that guides all the political parties, and it is based on that constitution that you can tell if a party chairman has exceeded his time in office. INEC's decision to turn an eye to that makes them part of this whole deal that has been going on for 17 years. Now, back to your question with regards to, did we do this hastily or not? I will tell you one thing for sure. Maybe we didn't do our due diligence properly. Maybe we are falling mugu, like they say. Maybe we've been scammed, like everybody talks about it around this area. But the truth still remains that this was the party that had Kingston Moghalu. This was the party that had Pat Utomi. This was the party that had, at one point in time, Peter Obi trying to be part of it. You understand? And this was the party that had Dumebi Kachiku Monye. And through the vigorous process, Dumebi Kachiku emerged. And some people might say, how did Dumebi beat all of those people? Well, I'll tell you one thing. Dumebi played the politics like it should be played. How do you play the politics? Make yourself available to the people. I remember during his campaign to win the primaries, he made himself so available that the people built that confidence in the fact that this is somebody that indeed we can truly relate with. And most of his support that he got was from northern Nigeria, because then with me, I was able to walk around to see that the northern part of the delegates were going to make him emerge. And so did he. Importantly, I want you to understand that whether we've been scammed, whether we didn't do pure good diligence, it's important for INEC in its part as the umpire to say, you know what? If we're getting letters from these people saying that they fear that this party is going to negotiate in an era where we're trying to build our democracy, then indeed they should have stepped in long before 10 days ago when they were asking us to have an arbitration outside courts.
Interesting. I want to go back again in time, because you see, these conversations are all coming back to me like a flood. You talked about the fact that your candidate did due diligence. I remember the first time I had this conversation, I had a spokesperson for Kingsley Moghalu who alleged that your candidate had given monies, had bribed his way to the top, being that He wasn't even in the top 5 when for the running for this ticket, and he came out of nowhere and became the presidential candidate, talking about also how untrustworthy members of the board of trustee of the party were at that time. And here we are months down the line. You're making almost similar allegations of the fact that, oh, you probably had been scammed. Oh, you did due diligence. But what do you think would be going through the minds of Kingsley Moghalu and, Moye right now? Because these are some of the same allegations they made about how crooked, allegedly, some of the members of the party leadership were at the time.
So I will tell you very clearly, yeah? I remember that interview I had with you on the station. I remember the connectivity from my own end did not let me have the conversation, especially to tackle the allegations from the spokesperson from Kingsley Moghalu's camp. But what is most important is Kingsley Moghalu, Patrick told me, and everybody who feel pain with regards to whatever transpired in this party should understand that we've always been on the same side. And for them to keep thinking that maybe it's their problem, it's a wrong assumption. Because indeed, maybe had no issue with anybody. Maybe came into the race, and like I told you, one of the critical things that he did was to make himself available. And let me tell you something. As much as we keep talking about this leadership problem in this country, there's a huge followership concern. And the followers are constantly looking for individuals that they believe they can penetrate, which is why some of us are parading half-working men as candidates for major political parties, because the belief is that if we have those kinds of people, then indeed we can manipulate them.
Ahmed, I think that we've lost connection with you, but if you can hear me. Ahmed, can you hear me? I think that we've lost that connection.
So the more you make yourself available, the people will laugh with you. And
Go ahead. We lost the connection with you for a second, but go ahead.
Yeah, I was trying to tell you that indeed most of the people within the party would tell you at that time that, oh, Kingsley, we like him, but he was speaking too much French, was speaking too much English. The people want you to come down to that level, and that is the only way that someone like Oshibajo did not imagine.
Just for clarity, what does it mean by coming down to their level? Because again, I heard that people took as low as $20, allegedly, at the party primaries from your candidate.
The problem,
that other candidates refused to pay monies. And I'm wondering if this is what it means, because the others were speaking grammar, but then your candidate was, a bit, open-handed. Could that have been the case?
So I'll tell you something, yeah?
I can hear you.
Just a second, I don't know.
Go ahead, I can hear you. Ahmed, we can hear you. Just go ahead. I think that we have also lost that connection again. Ahmed, but if you can hear me, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead. I really want to hear what you mean by coming down to the level of the people.
In politics, a few things are very crucial. People want to see that available resources can drive a campaign. But most importantly, and I keep telling politicians, what the people really want is somebody that is available, somebody that can communicate with, somebody that's going to take your phone call, somebody that's going to be present for those your meetings, somebody that is going to probably pick you up as they're leaving meetings and say, I'm going to give you a ride home. I remember I saw somebody who said, the reason why I voted for Jumebi Kachku was because on a particular day after our meeting, as he drove out of the meeting area, he saw me and he opened his G-Wagon vehicle for me to enter. That was the first time I entered the G-Wagon. People have different reasons for supporting an individual, but fundamentally, the drive is always around how open you are to them. And remove your mind from these money issues. Because indeed, Kingsley Moghalu made transfers to these people, and that finds him, and those are evidences to show that he actually gave money along the line so that he could be voted for during the primaries.
Okay, finally.
I hope you didn't miss me there.
Yes, I did it. Finally, with all of these things that have happened on ending issues.
You don't want to talk about it, whether it is true that he gave money?
Oh, no, I remember when we had that conversation, his spokesperson had said that the party asked him to give a certain amount of money, that all the candidates were asked to give a certain amount of money so that the primaries would hold. And it was for also for delegates.
That is unconstitutional. He was not supposed to do that. Him doing that.
Again, I'm not going to be here to hold brief for Kingsley Moghalu because he's not here to respond to that.
Now that I have better connection, you can invite the spokesperson and we can talk about that.
Well, but I cannot be holding brief for him. So because we don't have time, I want to move quickly to other matters. Now, with all of these unending issues emanating from the ADC and knowing that we're a few days away from the election, how do you hope to convince the average Nigerian to vote for the ADC? Because now you have put the credibility of the members of your board of trustee on the line right now. A lot of people are questioning how credible your party is and if it's going to even be able to stand till the election day. I mean, we still have the governorship and other tickets to go.
Can you hear me, Marianne?
Go ahead, please.
I think what is important here and what you're not paying attention to, I told you the court served the judgment, granting all of our prayers and sacking these men that parade themselves as members of the National Working Committee. So to start with, those guys were imposters. They are nowhere on the party platform to start with. Okay. Now, anybody who's giving them money did that at his own peril. But most importantly, it is beyond maybe Kachiku and myself, like I told you. We have people running, we have people contesting. As much as we're on the ballot, what is most important for us to do is to stand firm for all of those people. A woman sent me a message earlier today. It was a long message telling me how she feels bad that she has spent so much money to campaign, she has spent so much money to buy the form. Ralph Wosto and his co-workers have, of course, placed different levels on her over the months, only for them to go and endorse another candidate while she's in Delta State contesting and campaigning. I tell you one thing, we all have to work together to ensure that these kinds of things are stopped in our polity. The only way we can give hope to the people is for small parties like this to get their act together and truly go into those contests with the intention to win and not to double around with people's minds and resources.
Okay. Well, better said this way than any other way. But I want to say thank you. Ahmed Buhari is the vice presidential candidate of the ADC. Always a pleasure to have you join us.
Thank you.
All right. And that's the show tonight. Don't forget, you are to make sure that you show up at your polling unit on Saturday, the 25th of February, to cast your vote. But what must you do and what must you know? Now, don't forget, several people still are yet to understand where their polling unit is. Just go on INEC's website, use the information, your voter identification number, impute it, and then you can find out where your polling unit is. So that way, you know where to cast your vote come Saturday. Don't sit at home. Don't sit on the fence. Use your PBC because that is your passport to a new Nigeria. I'm Mary Anacol. See you tomorrow. Good night.
Change is inevitable.
That we don't get it wrong at this point in time.
We cannot continue the lamentation of the past.
You're a leader. Don't go away when Bayelsa is under the water. Don't leave Jigawa to die. Don't say, oh, I cannot go to Southern Kaduna because there's a problem.
Join us on Ballot 2023 all day on Election Day on Plus TV Africa for nationwide coverage with seasoned reportage and analysis. Ballot 2023, Nigeria's moment of decision. All day on Election Day on Plus TV Africa.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bukky November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
A new day has finally come for citizens with disabilities in Nigeria. You can now participate in the electoral processes without any worry whatsoever. The new Electoral Act of 2022 has made robust provisions to ensure persons with disabilities are not left out of the electoral process. The Disability Act and the Electoral Act has mandated INEC to provide special assistance for citizens with disabilities at the polling booth. As a citizen with a disability, you are entitled to non-discrimination, priority voting, braille ballots for the blind, magnifying glasses for albinos, election day instructions to support the deaf, among other provisions. So, when you arrive at your polling unit on election day, all you need to do is present yourself to the polling officer in charge and you will be given the required support. It is your right by law. Now, nothing can stop you from being part of the electoral process. You are a citizen, and with your voter's card, you are one of the owners of Nigeria. Go out and make your voice heard as we recruit those that will serve us on election day. This message is brought to you by the Campaign for Equal Voting Access, a program of the Center for Citizens with Disabilities, with support from MacArthur Foundation.
Nigeria has produced and continues to produce great writers who have won great accolades and recognition for their work. When discussing African literature, names like Chinua Achebe, Wole Soyinka, and Buchi Emecheta. But beyond these writers, exist modern writers redefining the fate of literature in Nigeria, Africa, and globally. 1. Chimamanda Adichie. The recipient of a MacArthur Foundation Fellowship was born on the 15th of September 1977 in Enugu, Nigeria. As a teenager, Chimamanda left for the United States and gained a scholarship to study communication at the Drexel University in Philadelphia, then pursued a degree in communication and political science at Eastern Connecticut State University. Her works have been translated into over 30 languages and has appeared in various publications, including The New Yorker, the O. Henry Price Stories, and the Financial Times. Some of her books, like The Purple Hibiscus, Half of a Yellowstone, and Americana, have won various awards. Her 2012 talk, We Should All Be Feminists, started a worldwide conversation about feminism and was published as a book in 2014. Tomi Adeyemi. Tomi, the author of Children of Blood and Bone, was born on August 1st, 1993, in the United States to parents who emigrated from Nigeria. After graduating Harvard University with an honors degree in English literature, she received a fellowship to study West African mythology, religion, and culture in Salvador, Brazil. Her debut novel, Children of Blood and Bone, has spent over 2 years on the New York Times bestseller list, and its film adaptation is currently in active development with Disney's Fox and Lucasfilms. She was named one of Time magazine's 100 most influential people. She is a Hugo and Nebula award-winning Nigerian-American writer and storyteller based in Los Angeles, California. In 2020, she was named one of Forbes 30 Under 30 in media, and her website has been named one of the best websites for writers by Writers Digest. Teju Cole. Teju Cole is a novelist, photographer, and curator. He was born in 1975 in the U.S. He is currently the Gore Vidal Professor of the Practice of Creative Writing at Harvard University. His novella, Every Day is for the Thief, was named a Book of the Year by the New York Times, The Globe and Mail, NPR, and The Telegraph, and shortlisted for the PEN Open Book Award. Another one of his books, Open City, also featured on numerous Book of the Year lists and won the PEN Hemingway Award, the New York City Book Award for Fiction, and was shortlisted for the National Book Critics Circle Award and the New York Public Library Young Lions Award. Teju Cole has contributed to New York Times, The New Yorker, Granta, Brick, and many other magazines. Akwaekwe Emezi. Born 1987, Emezi is a National Book Foundation 535 honoree. She was born in Umuahia and raised in Aba, Nigeria. Her adult novel, The Death of Vivek Oji, was a New York Times bestseller, an indie bestseller, and an indie next selection, receiving rave reviews from the New York Times, USA Today, NPR, the LA Times, and the Washington Post. Her debut autobiographical novel, Freshwater, is in early development as a TV series at FX, with Emezi writing and producing with Tamara P. Carter. Translated into 12 languages, Freshwater won the 2019 Otherwise Award, formerly the Tiptree and the Normal Book. It was a New York Times notable book, as well as a finalist for the Center for Fiction's First Novel Prize, the Penny Hemingway Award, the NYPL Young Lions Fiction Award, the Edmund White Award for Debut Fiction, and a Lambda Literary Award. Beyond these writers are more individuals, old and young, using the power of the pen and ink to change the face and narrative of the country and the continent.
Hello and welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all. I'm Chinelo Anene, and tonight I'm joined by 3 beautiful ladies, 2 in the studio and 1 via Zoom. Mary, NJ, and Unoma. Mary looking all glam. It's like since Mary cut this hair, she has been giving us different styles back to back. Hi Mary, you look really beautiful.
Hi, thank you so much. You look beautiful as well.
Thank you. You know, and there's this top for me. I don't know. I'm sure this top will fit me.
I mean, you might just go home without it today.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
After you're driving, you get in the car and then just go to your house. Unoma, how you doing? Hi, Unoma. Okay, Unoma is joining us via Zoom today. Okay, how are you? How's your day?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm fantastic. You guys look amazing as always.
Thank you. Okay, here's what we found as today's quotes. The vote is precious. It is the most powerful, non-violent tool we have in a democratic society, and we must use it. And this is by John Lewis. I think this is very profoundly said because we're in that period where, you know, your vote actually counts. We've gone past that period where everybody says, oh no, even if I've heard a lot of people say, I'm not going out to vote because what does it even matter if I go out to vote after they know who is going to win already? I think we need to get off that mentality and actually realize that it's actually important for us to go out there and cast our votes.
I think it's very, very important. It's a time where, like you said, it's non-violent. So this is a patriotic act as citizens of Nigeria to actually cast our votes, determining who would rule us for the next 4 to maybe 8 years. So knowing that, having that at the back of our mind should be very, very, is an important thing to have at the back of our mind, because that way we know exactly what is right in front of us and what we have to do.
Yes. Okay, so earlier today, a supporter of the Labour Party in Lagos State had his hand amputated after the attack that rocked the grand finale of the presidential campaign rally of the party in the state last week. With the 2023 general elections just a few days to go, it is important that the citizens are sensitized and aware during this political season. It's our ladies' night out, and Uwaja Gaumero, Mary Oma Williams, Norma Efa, and I are discussing voters' sensitization, do's and don'ts to take note of. And when we open our phone lines, we'd love to hear what you have to say. But first, let's take a break to see what we found in the news.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them. If you no talk, then go beat you. Now 2,500 they pay.
Every year on February 21, people around the world celebrate International Mother Language Day to encourage linguistic and cultural diversity as well as multilingualism. It all started with Bangladesh's efforts with the overarching goal of preserving and safeguarding its native languages. According to some estimates, 2,000 out of the 6,700 languages spoken worldwide are spoken in India alone. Wow, this is quite enlightening news because I think the mother tongue is actually very important. And in Nigeria these days, you don't find a lot of people speaking their mother tongue. So on that note, I'm going to ask Mary, can you speak your mother tongue? She's already giving me side eye.
No, I can't.
Oh,
but I can say a few things.
You can say a few. Okay, so tell us something.
I'm Delta Urobo, so Migwo. And then the response is Vrendo. Migwo means welcome, good morning, all of that. Yeah.
Nice. Not bad, not bad. Angie, I don't need to ask you if you can. I'm sure that you can. So will you just say something for us in your mother tongue?
I would say, Nde Wandibani, Ahambo, Mwajia Gomero, Dalo.
Ah, nice.
Nice. I somehow understand what that means.
I will. NJ. Sorry, I don't know why I keep calling her NJ. Norma. Norma, are you there? Okay, well, my dad is Igbo, but my mom is from Akwa Ibom. So if I was going to say something, I mean, you said something Igbo already, I'll just say something Akwa Ibom, and it's just very simple. Abadi. Abadi means how are you, and Idio means not bad, I'm good, I'm okay. So yeah. Norma, so I was saying, can you say something for us in your mother tongue? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so Andrew, what did you find for us in the news today?
Well, my news story for today is an interesting video I found online. So a video surfaced online on Tuesday that showed a very dramatic act in front of an Access Bank. I don't know if we have that video. So you would have to watch the video. Okay,
we have the video. Let's just put it up.
Yes.
So it's a video of the woman climbing to find her way into Access.
Obviously, lately in front of the banks, there has been a lot of crowd queue waiting for the ATMs, waiting to go into the banking hall to try and get cash. And I'm just imagining this woman, because for me, she's my hero of the day. And she decides she doesn't care about her age. She doesn't care about what she's wearing. She doesn't care about where she is. She decides on her own to go on this quest of turning the front bars in front of the bank into a mountain climbing stepping stone. And she did that whole act and ended up right in front of the bank. And for me, that was a goal for the day. Because for her, I'm sure she was at the back of the queue and imagined herself how long she would have to wait in order to get any access into the bank or the ATMs. And she just imagined, you know what, I'm not going to care about if someone is going to look under my under my skirt. I don't care how old I am. I don't care if my kids ever see this, they will know I was doing this for them. And she just went head on. And I applaud her bravery. And yes, by the time if we do get to show the video, you would understand what I mean. So it's just also, bringing back to home what people are going through with the current situation of the redesign of the Naira notes and how it's affecting people on a daily basis and making people act out of character.
I mean, I was going to say, as much as that video is funny, I mean, it's just our honest reality as it is. It just feels like it's now survival of the fittest. You really just have to go through it to be able to survive in this country right now. All that laying back. And I hope that we can channel this same energy on Saturday when we go out to, put out our votes for the presidential and House of Representatives elections. Mary, what do you find for us in the news today?
On my end, I have, since I'm in support of the cashless society, there's a bus conductor who has been saying using a POS machine, to collect his change and money. So I guess I foresee a future where a lot of people are going to have to, use the POS, and I guess it's commendable as well, because we're trying to find a way out of it. We're in this mess, but we're trying to look at the positive and say, hey, you know what? People don't have cash. We have to help ourselves, and let's see how this goes. So it was very interesting to find that.
I mean, when I saw that, I was like, of course, Mary would definitely support this because this is what she has been preaching for a long time now. She has been saying, let us.
Long way to technology.
But, Norma, what did you find for us in the news today?
Indeed, desperate times call for desperate measures in the economy. And in the spirit of that, I found in the news that the UK is advising Nigerians to calm tensions and prevent electoral violence. So the UK Minister of State for Development and Africa, Andrew Michel, has advised in his statement to Nigerians that they should remain calm and that the UK government remains committed to supporting credible and inclusive elections. And it's interesting because it's coming at such a time when we are about to engage in our elections this Saturday, to be precise. So the UK government is saying that they are in support of what is going on, but that more emphasis should be on calming tensions. With the rising tensions in Nigeria, it seems like violence is becoming the order of the day. And the UK government is also saying that they are fully behind. They're watching the scenes. They're watching the details of this election. And in the spirit of support to Nigeria, that whoever is found continue to promote violence will actually be sanctioned. I mean, sanctions can be brought against you, and they can go as far as denying visas to Nigerians who are promoting violence. So, in general, it is that people should respect electoral laws and the institutions, and also respect human rights in the process of exercising their civil rights as well. Avoid hate speech and just generally be out for peace. So that's what I found interesting in the news today. So I guess the word is enough for the wise, like they say.
And I mean, this is something I already talked about in the introduction. The Labour Party supporter that had to be amputated today after he was attacked during the presidential rally, the Labour Party presidential rally, or Labour Party campaign rally, rather, in Lagos last week. So a yet to be identified supporter of the Labour Party in Lagos State has had his hand amputated after the attack that rocked the grand finale of the presidential campaign rally of the party in the state last week. The Director General of the Obi Dati Presidential Campaign Council, Akin Osuntokun, made this known today during a live appearance on Channels Television's The 2023 Verdicts. Osuntokun said he did not have the assurance that everything is set for the presidential election slated for Saturday, saying that voter suppression through violence has remained a worrying factor. I mean, yes, there is this, which is why we're actually having this discussion today about voter sensitization, right? It's sad to see that we're still going this route of attacking people that are supporting whatever party it is. I mean, the other day we had that video of the attack at Aguda Market where they stabbed someone in the head, and they said, the lodger said, oh, this market belongs to a certain party, so your party cannot come here to campaign. And that's just really sad, you know. I don't understand why we still, after all these years, we've seen that violence really doesn't solve anything. Yes, this is still where we are. But I think we've just come to that point where it is everybody just hide your head at this point and try as much as possible to stay safe. And then that is why we're having this conversation today anyway. So yeah, see you after the break.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. From the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative and engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
Hello Nigerians, this is the Vox Pop on the Way show, and for the forthcoming election we'll be doing a sensitization teaching Nigerians how to vote correctly, because it is no news that many Nigerians don't know how to vote correctly, and so that our votes are not void, we need to be able to teach the people how to vote correctly. So come with us as we teach the Nigerian people how to vote correctly for the forthcoming election. Hello sir, do you know how to vote correctly?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Do you want to show me?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. This is exactly how you vote. You put your thumb on the stamp pad and then you vote right here. And then make sure that your thumb has taken a lot of ink so that it can show correctly on whatever candidate you are supporting. Thank you. Like we know, and like I said earlier, it is no news that many Nigerians do not know how to vote correctly. Some people thumbprint across the line. Some don't even get enough ink to thumbprint correctly. And that is why we came on the street to teach people how to vote correctly. Thank you very much for staying with us. This is the Vox Pop on the Way show. And of course, it's your girl, Dami. Thank you. Till next time. Bye-bye. Hello Nigerians, this is the Vox Pop on the Way show.
The D-Day is fast approaching, and despite the economic frustration all over the country currently that's experienced by Nigerians, majority have armed themselves with the tool for change, which is the PVC. Now, to ensure that our votes, our efforts, and our motivations do not go to waste, it is imperative that the citizens are adequately informed on the expectations and adequately prepared to vote for their preferred candidates. Here is a list of things you can do as you prepare for the forthcoming elections. Okay, we'll come back to that. What are some of the do's and don'ts that you think citizens should take note of as we prepare for the elections? Please let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 08180384663. You could also tweet to us at WayShowAfrica1 with the hashtag WaysShow. Okay. I mean, we've been talking voting. And I remember when we were talking about it in the makeup room today, and it's like, so what are we even supposed to do in the first place? How are we supposed to go about that day? Well, I'm very sure we're all going out to vote, right?
Yes, we are.
It's only Unoma that I wouldn't expect to vote, but I'm sure the three of us sitting on this table would be going out to vote on Saturday. Mary, please don't look at me like that.
Most definitely.
Okay, so then I just want us to, we'll be talking tonight about what the voters should know, what the process might be like, or what are the steps that it is that we should take. I know one thing for sure is we need to stay away from wearing any emblem or any crest of any party, irrespective if you support the party or not. This is just for your own safety. Like I said, like, we need to hide our heads, right, and try to stay safe, because that should be our priority. Safety should be our priority right now. So one thing I would say is stay safe. Don't wear any crested, merch or whatever it is on that day. NJ, what do you have to say?
I would say be safe. And in other ways, there are other ways I think you can be safe. Some people are going to go out with bats for their own personal safety.
Like you rightly said.
Some people are going to go out with tasers for their own personal safety. But I know also because of the weight and because of the duration of the whole election process, verification and what have you, people are advised to have something to drink, have something to snack on, have a starter pack, have an umbrella, water, very essential, fruits or something, sunglasses, obviously, because they're going to be under the sun.
And wear your sunscreen.
So sunscreen, personal protection. There are different ways people wear sneakers just in case something happens. So you're better off just wearing like a t-shirt and jeans, or a t-shirt and joggers, just simple, very basic casual outfit, just for comfort and ease of movement.
Mary?
I think for me, I would say, I think we should go out early, which is like the stated time. The earlier the better, because at that time, people are still not thinking of being that violent. And I will come from the point of prepare your mental state, in the sense that you're an individual. It doesn't really matter who the people around you are voting for. Make up your mind. This is what you want. Whoever it is, you have to be sure of yourself and go there, perform your civil rights as a citizen of the country, and just go home. Violence is really not the solution to things. So for me, the preparation of the mental state, it's not the time to have any debate about who are you voting, why should you vote this person. It's okay. Everybody is entitled to have their different choices. So I would say just make up your mind mentally. It doesn't matter if your candidate wins or not, but in your heart of heart that this is who you want to vote for, and you have your reasons for that. And so go out early, perform your civic duties, and just go home and rest. I think it should be a free day for everybody.
Yeah, okay. Noma. Noma, are you there? Okay, I think we lost Noma for you. So I was actually going to mention that I think in the first place, I want to believe that everybody that intends to vote on Saturday already has their PVC, right? So I would also say identify people around you who you are going to be in the same polling unit as well. Okay. Identify your polling units, because I'm aware that on that day there might be no vehicular movement, so you might have to be able to walk to your polling. So make sure that you are very close to your polling unit. You might not have the opportunity, to drive there. Very important, have a power bank. Especially for people like me that our phones don't last so long. My phone literally stays 20 minutes. So it's very important that you have a power bank to, charge your devices and all of that. Have an umbrella or, sunshade, like NJ said. Rub your sunscreen to protect your face, or wear a face cap, wear a hat or something, just to make sure that you're comfortable. Have some water to drink with you so that you're not dehydrated, because, you're going to be in the sun. I know that these days the sun really is not smiling. So I think that's some key. You're going to say something?
Yeah, I think I would also advise that maybe you could share your location with family and friends. If you think you've been out there for quite a bit, and maybe because of how slow the process is, you can just share your location. So just so that someone is aware of where you are.
Yes,
That's
yes.
communal living.
Yeah.
So that helps to
Comfortable
be
clothing
safe.
too. It's very important to wear clothes that you'll be very comfortable in. And you said wear your sneakers just in case. You have to.
Because I can
run.
see that there's the voting procedure, which says that voting starts about 8:30 in the
8:30
morning.
a.m., yes.
So when you get there, I'll just run through the procedure. When you get there at 8:30 in the morning, you present your PVC for accreditation using BVAS. And after that, you check to be sure that your name is on the register of voters in the polling unit. And after that, you get authenticated with the BVAS through a fingerprint or facial biometric. After that, once you're accredited, you will be issued a ballot paper. Now, when you get that, is when you now go into the voting cubicle to make your choice in secret and drop your marked ballot paper in the ballot box. So you can leave there, you can leave or stay 300 meters away from the voting area to witness voting, sorting, and counting. So this is just a brief on the voting procedure and how it's going to go on Saturday, the 25th of February, and also on Saturday, the 11th of March, which is next week.
Next week, Saturday.
So it's the same procedure, and I just hope that the government, speaking from that angle, that they are indeed ready for these elections, because for me, I feel like there are basic areas that they need to pay attention to, which is like logistics, the movement of either the ballot materials or ballot papers, the general ballot materials, and even officials that would be taking part in this election process. And then also, I think that they need to be trained so that they know what to expect. I feel like if we were ready for these elections, certain units would have been trained even in physical combat a bit, just so that when some of these situations and challenges arise, they can be able to manage the situations.
Yes.
Then also like what we're doing, which is voter sensitization, which is just telling the voters who are in those areas that do not have access to like social media in order to get updated on what is expected when they get to the polling unit. So I saw a video online where a pastor in a Catholic church, a priest in a Catholic church was actually sensitizing, church members on how to, the thumbprint so that is counted as valid. So things like that, where citizens, that's why it's a patriotic act.
Yes.
We as citizens should do our own bit in any way possible to actually let people know this is what is expected, so that we do not go through this whole process only for it to a lot of votes to be void at the end of the day. So people need to come out, because I'm sure a lot of technology has been put in place in order to monitor, and also I see beavers, so that means they've imputed some technology in order to monitor and report these cases. So in security is another thing. So once we are able to, cover up all these areas, I think we're fine. Then we're ready for the election.
Okay. All right, if you just tuned in, it's our Ladies' Night Out and we're discussing voter sensitization, do's and don'ts to take note of. Please let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation, send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 08180384663. You could also tweet at us at Wayshow Africa 1 with the hashtag Wayshow. Our phone line is now open. Please call us on 07025007749. Yeah, Unoma, I think Unoma has something to say. Unoma, go ahead.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, so just to add to what the ladies have been talking about, I think it's important for us to double check, if possible, triple check that we have our PVCs. Now, sometimes people can be in a rush, so it would be a good opportunity for you to cut down, to pack what you need ahead of time. Put your PVC in your bag, ensure that everything that you need is put into one location, so when it's time for you to move, then you can move. Another thing that we really need to pay attention to is respect for privacy. A lot of people go to polling units and you begin to try to find out what your friends are, who your friend is voting, and things. This is not the time to do that. I think it's time for us to concentrate on the mission and which is to vote. So you go and carry out your civic duties and also give others privacy so that they too can carry out their civic duties in secrecy. It's yours, it's your vote. Your vote is yours to keep. And so also you should be able to respect other people's privacy. Another thing that I would really want to emphasize is for us not to use cameras or, use our phones to be taking selfies, whether in the polling booths or things like that. Those things can actually be offensive. And if caught, you might be facing charges. So we have to be very vigilant at this time. We have to be very sensitive to the times that we're in. So please, those who are tempted to use their camera phones to take selfies of themselves while they're performing their duties, please, as much as possible, please desist from doing that. And then when you finish voting, it's also not a good time to be loitering around, because sometimes if you are, for example, wearing a campaign t-shirt, for example, you might become a target to people. So please, let's be very watchful, do what you need to do, and as quickly as possible, you can move away from the area and safeguard yourself. Don't also try to write on ballot papers because you're going to render your ballot invalid. I think these are some of the points that I wanted to just push out. And lastly, please say a word of prayer as you're casting your vote and believe that your vote will definitely count. It's a step in faith for a lot of us who are people of faith, and we believe that as we put action to our faith, that we will see the results that we desire.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Noma. I like what Noma said about respecting people's privacy, because I can, what's the word now? I can preempt that a lot of people would actually want to see what other people are doing, and then there'll be a lot of peeking and peeping, and from there, before you know what's happening. I was at the supermarket this evening just before I came to the studio, and then I was just at the till paying for what I got. And one man just walked up to me, a random person, and then he said, "Who are you voting for on Saturday?" And I was taken aback for a bit. I'm like, okay, am I supposed to answer, or am I supposed to, And I just smiled at him. He was like, "Why are you smiling? Do you even have a PVC?" I was like, "Yes, I have a PVC." And then he just said, "Just make sure you'll be there." He walked away, and I'm like, was I supposed to say anything to him? Was I supposed to answer? I was supposed to tell him who I was going to vote for. I didn't want to say so that I will not get outside, and then before you know what's happening, I'm lynched. And so, yeah, respect people's privacy. Very, very important. Also, I saw something, there was a post I saw online about if you don't even have a PVC, or for whatever reason you were not able to get your PVC, you can actually still support other people that are going out to vote on that day by encouraging them, maybe take a few bottles of water to polling units, hand people water, hand snacks, or in whatever way it is that you can support, right? So, so that it's not that you're just sitting at home, you're not hoping that change comes when you're not doing anything. So even if you don't have your PVC, you can actually support one way or the other on Saturday, and then also on the 11th of March as well. Please also remember that our phone lines are open. You can call us on 0702500749. You could also send us a WhatsApp or SMS to our lines, and tweet at us as Wayshow Africa with the hashtag WaysShow. Okay, so I was also going to say, writing on ballot paper. We saw the video, the Vox Up, when Dami went on the streets and had people with the specimen papers do the thumbprints thing. I think a lot of people don't understand. We're actually going to be talking about this later this week, yes. Talking about how you should actually impress your thumb on the ballot paper, because a lot of people don't understand. Did you see people?
Yeah, some people only get like the tip. Some people never get the full because they don't place their hands well
on the stamp pad itself. Angie was saying something that sometimes the what's it called now, that space where you have to be small.
Previously
the
boxes used to be square and really small.
Okay, so sometimes they would overlap into the next candidate.
Overlaps is invalid. So I like the fact that
there's now that
enough space for you to just go in it.
For you to, so you would have to. That's why That's why the sensitization is necessary, so that people do not do that without having that information and then render
their votes invalid.
Yeah.
I was also going to talk about the accreditation system that we're now using, the BVAS. I think people also need to be aware that you need to go and make sure that you're actually accredited before you put out your votes. Maybe you were going to say something.
How do people check that?
So, I mean, there are steps, right? So the first thing is when you arrive, we all know voting starts at 8:30. So that's the first thing you do. The accreditation process is going to happen first before we begin the voting process. So once you get to your polling units, you go to them. They have the...
See, that's why people need to go out early. Because it's not by 5 p.m. you'll now be thinking, oh yeah, you know what?
African time.
Let me just think I should go and vote now. You should set out early because, you know, before any chaos comes, you're able to sort your thing out, give your vote, and then leave the place.
It's not even necessarily about chaos now. I think we just actually need to be disciplined enough to know that, okay, this thing starts at this time. I'm hoping that the officials will be there. We won't have delay of election materials because of distribution of the election materials. I'm really hoping.
8:30 now and
like Oshutokun said, he said he feels like INEC isn't ready for us. But I want to believe, this is just how many days to go now. 4 days to go. I don't want to prepare. What's that smirk on your face, NJ?
That's why I made this list. I listed out some of the things that the government, or rather like the federal government or the electoral government, need to get ready before and the thing about it is that there's no way we're going to know until
that day.
So if any excuse is going to come up, it's going to come up that day or this delayed. But these are processes that we have done over time for years, for a couple of years now. So it's not even a couple of years, like
now.
So there should be a preparation. I see it online that they're prepared because they say it.
They say.
But that is online until Saturday morning at 8:30. Because they're going to be citizens that would be that patriotic to be there at 8:30 because they want to be done with the electoral process and back in their house, in their houses. So there are people that are going to be there around that time. Now, you're expecting that plans have been put in place in order to make sure that there's no delay. But knowing Nigeria, I know that there may be some delays. I'm just hoping it's just going to be something that we can manage and still be an hour delay. That's okay. But when voters are there by 8:30 and maybe at 11:30, which is like
there's going to be a hours, there's going to be a backlog of
so people at that time at 11:30 people are frustrated. They've been standing under the sun since they could have been doing something else with their Saturday morning, even though they chose to do this, but that is not now in your place to frustrate that effort. So I guess we'll have to find out on Saturday morning.
I want to believe that they are actually ready, but then at the same time, we as the voters also need to know what it is that we need to do as well. So that's why I was talking about the accreditation. So after the accreditation, make sure that your name is on the voters list. That is also very, very important. So first step, you get to your polling units, make sure that you're accredited through the BVAS system, and then check the voters list to make sure that your name is there. After that, you can now go and get authenticated on the BVAS list through, I think there are two ways you can get authenticated, through your fingerprints or through your facials, because at the point of registering for your PVC, you did some form of biometrics. So you can get authenticated through your facials or through your thumbprints. Once you've been accredited, then you'll be handed a ballot paper. Now, this ballot paper is where you're going to see the names of all the candidates and the parties. So there, you can just pick the one that it is that you're voting for. Go to the voting cubicle, make your choice in secret, and like Noma said, respect people's privacy. I'm really hammering on that. Respect people's privacy. So going to the voting cubicle, make your choice in secret and drop your ballot paper inside the ballot box. Now, after that, you can either leave or you can say at least 300 meters away from the voting area so that you can actually witness the voting sorting, the voting counting. Are you going to witness that?
I would do my best.
Okay, I'm not sure. Well,
I would do my best. Most of the time, depending on the polling booth or the polling unit, sometimes there are very few enough that by 11 o'clock, they've summarized their whole and they're ready to go. So it depends on the crowd in, the polling units close to you. So,
okay, Unoma.
Andrew was talking there. I remember a time where the last election, I think that was the first election that brought in our current president. And in the area where I was staying, there were a lot of people that were very willing to stay to the very end. They stayed into the night, because the people were coming in. There were so many people coming in to vote. And then when they started counting, people were ready. Some people actually came with blankets to stay and ensure that the votes were counted, and then that people were, and the results, and then everything was computed accordingly. So I think we need that spirit, in the spirit of patriotism, for as many people that can stay out to ensure that the process is carried through thoroughly. I would encourage that people are able to stay. But if you feel that after you vote that you fear for your safety in one way or the other, then I would advise that you quickly move away from some of those areas and find a safe place to stay, because we don't want people getting hurt in their attempt to give or to carry out their civic duties. I mean, we remember our point that we started talking on about the Labour Party member who was coming out to campaign and his arm got amputated. We don't want to see citizens have to go through trauma just because they want to exercise their civic duties. So please, as much as possible, people can stay safe. Another point I wanted to add is that in the spirit of patriotism, please do not try to impersonate anyone. A lot of people are going out trying to use other people's PVCs to vote. It is a criminal offense. If you do not have PVC, try to get yourself useful by supporting other people. You don't try to impersonate someone, because at the end of the day, if you are caught, there might be criminal charges brought against you and you might be going to jail. So I just wanted to point that out as part of the don'ts that we should pay attention to.
Thank you so much.
Voters or people who are preparing to vote.
Thank you, Norma. We have a call. Lawman from Abia.
Good evening, my dear sister.
Good evening, Lawman.
Yeah, this is Lawman from Abia State.
Thank you.
See, I like what you people are doing.
Thank you.
But do you know, if we are to sensitize voters, we need to let them know. Number one, at the polling booth, as you are casting your vote, sometimes you see these heavyweight men, people with muscle, bodybuilders. They will stand one side and be looking at you when you are voting. So we need to sensitize voters at this time around. No matter who is forcing you to vote against your conscience, stood your ground and vote the rightful candidate, because sometimes they stay there to manipulate voters. And secondly, we need to sensitize voters that on that day, whoever that will come with this new money, new redesigned money, to tell you, take this money and vote against your conscience. Stand your ground, collect the money, put in your pocket. It is between you, the cubicle, and the ballot paper. You stand there and vote, and let us tell INEC, let them make sure nobody comes there with camera or his phone. Because sometimes they will make sure they will see you for you to show them where you are voting.
Yes.
So please, this sensitization of voters is very, very necessary. So that at the end of the day, nobody will force you against your will. We really want to make a change in this country so that at the end of the day, we will not suffer the way we are suffering. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Loman. Thank you. I like what he said. Although I don't know about supporting the part of collecting their money and still going to go and cast whatever vote it is you want to vote. Please don't take any money from anybody. Just vote your conscience, to be honest. Just vote. Go there, exercise your civic responsibility, vote your conscience, and leave. Or if you want to stay back to watch, please. Also, yes, we've talked about the cameras and all of that. Keep all forms of cameras away. If you notice at any point you feel like you're under any life-threatening circumstance, please call for help. That's also very important. If you feel like at any point someone is threatening you or there are party participants anywhere saying something like, okay, you need to vote, you have to vote for that, please make sure you report. I'm sure that we're going to have poll lines that we can actually send messages or calls to if there's anything that we need to report at the time as well. Yeah. So, final words, Mary, do you have anything to share?
Please, let's just stay safe. Share your location as much as you can with your family and friends, and try and avoid trouble. Peace of mind is
very
really
important.
Key. I mean, it doesn't matter who you're voting for. I would always say respect individuals' decisions about everything. So I wish everyone a successful election, and I hope it goes well. Thank you. NJ?
I think Mary has said most of it. It's for us to just stay safe. Vote, would I say your conscience, but vote who you would be able to stand by. That's how I'll put it. So it depends on what your conscience is telling you. It can tell you one thing and you decide to go the other way. So vote who you will be able to stand by, and yes, everyone needs to be safe. Don't forget your starter pack. Don't forget your election starter pack, and yeah, do what you have to do.
Okay. Norma, any final words?
I think I'll just say come prepared and respect people's privacy. You know, be sensitive to what you are coming to do, which is voting. And while you're doing that, please vote and pray. Prayer is an action word. It's not just something that you just say, it's something that you do. So while you're voting, please believe that your vote will carry through and will make a difference.
Thank you so much.
And while you're voting, stay on high alert, be ready for anything, avoid anything that will bring problem to you, and like everyone says, please stay very safe.
Thank you, Norma. Also, let's stay away from voter suppression. And this is to the partisans, particularly. Voter suppression through violence should not be tolerated on that day at all. Now, before we go, do ensure you follow us on Instagram at Wayshow Africa. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and most importantly, follow all our social media engagements. Remember to like, share, comment, and invite your friends and family to watch us and follow us. Also, please, don't forget to go out to cast your votes on Saturday and then on the 11th of March as well. This is also very important. If you missed today's quote, here it is again. The vote is precious. It is the most powerful, non-violent tool we have in a democratic society, and we must use it. This is by John Lewis. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us tonight. And thank you to our viewers as well. See you tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
very good morning to you, and thanks for joining us on The Run-Up. My name is Nyamgul Agaji. Right now, we have just 3 days until the general elections coming up on the 25th of February 2023. And all we've been talking about in this country is the elections, and we do not know why other things are not being addressed. Presidential and National Assembly elections, how prepared are we for it? While the whole country was agog talking about the elections, we neglected a health issue that has been killing our people silently. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control and Prevention, NCDC, has announced that 85 Nigerians have died from Lassa fever in the first 6 weeks of 2023. The NCDC said 531 suspected cases have been recorded this year, and 20 states have recorded at least one confirmed case of Lassa fever across 79 local government areas. How many people died of COVID-19 again? How much? You're welcome back. Well, we have the BVAS and electronic transmission of results on election day. These are things new to our electoral process. In 2019, there was a lot of noise as to whether there was electronic transmission or not. In fact, one of the presidential candidates was allegedly strong electronically, if I may put it that way, until the electoral body, that is INEC, came out to say there was nothing like electronic transmission of results. Well, tech is here to stay now, and we are wondering how much of this can be homegrown and what kind of policies can make this come to be. Oladipupo Bolaji is a digital product manager, and he joins us now. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning. I'm excited to be here.
Okay. Well, everybody's excited in Nigeria, especially in this election, because, like I said, there was no electronic transmission of elections before now. There was no BVAS. So technology has entered our electoral process. And a lot of people are saying this might just be the turning point for Nigeria to have a free and fair election. But we still don't seem to know the importance of technology in Nigeria. As a digital expert, as a technological expert, give us just an insight as to how important technology is to Nigeria's economy as a whole.
Yeah, thank you. So technology has come to stay, and it has permeated every aspect of our life, from our phones, from the way we communicate. In fact, everything around us, homes, school, hospital, everywhere, we are now in an era of digital transformation, if we can say that. So it's not new to now see different government agencies deploying technology for different activities. So, and what are the drivers that is pushing technology, especially in Nigeria? So if you look at the future of technology in Nigeria, it's very bright because we have demographics, we have young people, and young people that we have are mostly, we call them digital natives. So they were born to operate smartphone.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but if you
we were the
digital alien.
No, we call ourselves BBC, born before computers. So we came at a time the computers were not there, but we're grappling with it and trying to just fit in. But right now, from the look of things, I don't know if I'm wrong, but you are the expert. From the look of things, the youths that are mostly into technology may not have had that opportunity from when they should have had the opportunity. It's just something they have grown to meet, and they're doing their best to fit into the technological world, you know. But can there not be something that the country can do, the policies that can be done to make sure that it is available to everybody, not just because you have a friend that has a smartphone and you're learning and all that, because there seem to be challenges, and we have not even seen what kind of things that we can use technologies to do in Nigeria.
I agree with you 100% plus one, if that is possible, because while I was in school studying computer science, the only place you can say computer is at the computer lab, right? And some people graduate from school without actually touching a computer. But all that is changing now. The devices are becoming more affordable. We have a lot of startups, promoting those innovations, training, and all that. So I think the government also needs to support in terms of policy, have more digital incubation centers where people can go to and be able to have access to those physical devices, because all people actually need is a way to experience those technology and interact with it. Nigerians are smart people. Just give them that small opportunity, they will show their creativity, and you will be amazed at that. So we need more investment in technology. We need investment also in infrastructure. Recently, you see what we've been going through, using a ATM card to pay, digital payment, transfer, not going network, because all of a sudden we're having increase in transaction. So we need that capacity to be able to handle that, and that capacity will come from government, because there's only so much private investment can do. So in terms of laying fiber cable, those infrastructure, right of way for operators in that industry, lowering some of those costs, then exchange rates, because we are still, let's face it, we are still import-dependent country anyway. So, and as we're having those fluctuations in exchange rate markets, is actually not promoting investment in that sector as it should be. So if we could have that, and if businesses can plan to know this is the exchange rate, and this is the things, this is government policy, at least for now, it's not going to change. And if it's going to change, we're going to have adequate information as to why it's going to change. We're going to be consulted as stakeholders. People can plan, and we can begin to see investment in that sector. Like I mentioned earlier, the drivers are there. We have talent pool, people who are very talented, ready to work, young demography. We also have the market size. We are 180 million plus people, and our language of instruction is English, which is a good market for technology. So we have all that. We just need that enabling environment that we always talk about, and those are the policies that needs to come in terms of education, STEM education. So we need to start learning coding from young, but not just learning it. We need infrastructure where people can, go and practice and be able to innovate. And so when that is at scale, we'll begin to see local solutions to our problems.
So that's actually possible, that we can have local solutions to our problem to the standard obtainable anywhere in the world.
Sure.
Just when we have the enabling environment.
Sure, because if you look at it, every big companies, tech companies, and everywhere in the world that you can find, you find Nigerians there also doing amazing things. So what's the difference? Environment, enabling infrastructure, environment, local support, especially at the universities. So we need our educational institutions to be up and be able to provide those curriculum that are
centered around
technology and what is happening now. So we don't want a situation where it's good to understand the history of where we're coming from, especially in computer science and co. But at the same time, we need to start teaching things that will make people ready for markets. So the banks and everybody are complaining that people are jackpotting, that their technology experts are living abroad and co. So that creates an opportunity for employment for tech people. But how ready are our graduates to be able to fill that space? So that's the question that's why we need to upgrade our curriculum to be sure that as they are finishing school, they are ready to the market.
No, let me just see. On Saturday we're going to the polls, and hopefully we're going to have a new president. it must be a new president because the present administration cannot go back. So everything is going to be new, whether it's from the same party or a different party, but the figurehead is going to be new. Now, if you had the opportunity to advise him on things to do first to make sure that technology flourishes, because everything, even farming now is technology, education, everything is tied to technology. And if we don't start a deliberate attempt to make sure that we put the things that we need in place, we might not get to where we need to get to. So if you were to advise, let's say the president now, what are the first things you would say they should look into as policies that will enable technology flourish well in Nigeria?
Yeah, we can't emphasize infrastructure. So infrastructure is key, but
now,
let's break
let's break it down. Yeah.
So we need telecommunication infrastructure. So we need that expansion in that area. So it could be a way of giving people more licenses to do that, to come and invest in that space, I don't know. But we need that telecommunication infrastructure. Very important. We've been able to manage our way around power. At least we're having alternate power, solar and co, but it's still very expensive. So if we can get more done in terms of grid electricity, that would be fine. Then another thing that is also, I think, low-hanging fruit that we can begin to also do is to begin to address some issues by way of policy. So one, getting our MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies to patronize local solution provider, for example. So yeah, you could say that our solution may not be that beautiful in terms of the user experience, but if you don't give us that opportunity, we'll not get better. So we can, at least when we are forming those project team and whatever, in that contract, ensure that there's a local partner in that. So the local partner could be handling the back end, while the more advanced or foreign partners are handling the front end, or the local partner could be handling the front end, back end, the foreign partner could be handling the security part of things till we develop that capacity to be able to do that. So another thing also that we can begin to do is to have policies that support cloud deployment. So when you deploy some of your infrastructure in cloud, the cloud has what we call agility, can scale. So when you are eating it with traffic, it scales. Of course, you're going to pay more during that period, but you're going to satisfy your customer. So what that means really is that your transfer will never fail.
Oh, so I knew you had to bring that in.
Yeah, because I knew I spent like 2 hours on queue yesterday trying to try different ATM card, transfer, and all that. So if we have some of those infrastructure deployed in cloud, it's just a matter of configuration. They will scale and be able to at least withstand this initial traffic that we're experiencing. Then we can't overemphasize education. So we need education, not only learning what to do, but also learning best practices. So we need international partnership.
At what point do we start that education? Because I don't know if the primary school you attended, you had opportunity of seeing a computer in school, but you went to the university, you studied computer sciences. Yes, there are a lot of people that they have a dream, they want to be computer experts, and they want to do it in the university. But in this case, if we want our society to be technology compliant, I don't know if that's the word I will use. Right. Where do we start from? Because when we're changing the curriculum, how do we change it? Do we change from bottom up or from top bottom? How do we change it, or everything?
So we need to go from bottom up, top down.
I don't understand.
So top being the tertiary level, so that needs to change. And what needs to change there may not really be in terms of the CSC 107, 108, is just to be sure that those contents are things that we are teaching are market ready and relevant. So those theories, they're very good. They are the foundation of computer science. Those mathematics and those art subjects, they're very good. But we need to bring it home. We now have the opportunity to find use cases all around us. So it's no longer esoteric as to what is all this gibberish that this professor is talking about. So we need to change at that level. Then bottom up also from kindergarten. So that's what I mean by bottom up. Because from age 1, our young ones are already interacting with computers anyway. The smartphone is a computer.
Yeah.
So that means that we need to start teaching them what is coding, what is computer, how things work. And there are also programming languages at their level that are just drag and drop. They can use to create cartoon, they can use to do animation and co. By the time you start exposing their mind at that level to that possibility of things they can create, even while in school, while in secondary school, they will start creating things, because owning a company, forming startup, teaching them businesses and entrepreneurship. You'll begin to see that you don't need to study computer science to be able to play in the digital space.
Well, I don't know. When I first had an interaction with computers, we were like 350 in a class, and there was one computer.
You are not alone.
I had a very long note, very big note, that we were writing. What is a mouse? We will define mouse like 5 pages of a mouse without touching it. And I discovered that after all this, I really didn't need all the verbiage. I didn't need all the words that were given to me as book. I could have just touched the mouse, and you tell me right click is this way, left click is this way. And because we didn't have access to that, I finished that course without knowing anything about a computer. I kept reading it, and I didn't recognize it. I didn't know anything about a computer. Now, this brings us to the cost of doing what you're proposing. If the government wants to do the kind of things that you're proposing, is it in this day and age, I'm not talking about when I started learning it, but in this day and age, is it that costly to infuse these things you're talking about in our curriculum and teach in schools?
Speaking about cost, I would say yes and no. So no in the sense that we can just, in computer there is Control-C, Control-V. At least you should be able to remember that.
I remember that.
Copy and paste.
Yeah.
So we can just copy and paste. So we have very good examples abroad. In fact, some of their curriculums are even open source. That means you can, from the social media, learn some of those things. So universities like Stanford, Harvard, some of those big universities have, under the open courseware arrangement, released their curriculum, and even some of them, their full classes online. So we can just copy and paste. So that way it's not very expensive to implement. Of course, in terms of training and getting those infrastructures available, getting the bandwidth to all our universities and educational institutions, getting power available, being able to have hosting infrastructure, because when you finish whatever you're doing, you need to host it somewhere, on a server somewhere. And that server, you need to pay for it. So although we are not having local hosting company in the country, which we need to.
We do?
Yes, we do. We have 3 of them that I'm very aware of, and they are very reliable.
They're reliable. Are they also affordable?
They're affordable in the sense that you pay in Naira. So you don't need to struggle for FX to pay all your foreign counterparts, rather. So we need to encourage them to be able to scale up and be able to serve this local market that we have. So that is the area where you're going to have investment. But to just jumpstart, you just copy and paste.
Okay. Now, the electoral system, we're excited that technology has entered. So before we wrap up, let's just look at it. People are excited about BVAS. People are excited about electronic electronic transmission of results. But can there be a time where we can develop to the extent that we can have electronic voting as well? Because I would want to vote in my village, because one of the reasons I'm in Lagos may be that things are not working well the way they should work in my local government. And I need to vote in someone that I think can change the story and all that. So I need to be able to vote even from Lagos for my candidate back home and anywhere I am in the world. So with technology, that's what people have been asking, that's what people have been hoping for, but I don't know how feasible that is. Is it possible that one day we can grow, especially with all these suggestions you've given to the next administration, to the extent that we could have electronic voting? And then in answer to that one, I want to tie it to the fact that we have BVAS and electronic transmission of votes. Does that give you any more confidence than you have had before in our electoral process?
Okay, so talking about voting electronically, I think you already do that today.
Do we?
Yes, surveys. You fill surveys online, right?
Yes, but election voting we can't.
So that's the same principle, right? So you have something to check, and you click on it, and you get your result. So when you move it to the realm of politics, so it may just be whatever the political arrangement, arrangement is. That may be the reason why you may not be able to have it, or you may have it. So I don't know so much about that terrain. But when it comes to the principle of it, we already
so that it's achievable.
So the students that are writing JAMs write CBT exams. They just click and click and click, and they get their results. So the technology itself, the principle itself, we are already interacting with it.
Interesting. So it's just the political will, as it were, to implement something like that for voting.
Maybe.
But how about rigging of that kind of a system? Is it possible?
Okay, so your financial transactions can be exposed to fraudulent activities, right?
Yeah.
So you have scammers and co. So anything that is electronic, that's why you have what you call data security, information security. So it depends on the level of your IT security. So of course you can break into systems, and that's why you also have practices that help to prevent those things. And in technology, there's this balance between security and ease of use. So you add in your infrastructure so that at least to ensure that it's secured. So humans are the weakest link in any technology. So if you take care of the human factor, your technology is secure.
Oh, okay. So BVAS, electronic transmission, let's talk generally about this election. Does it give you more confidence now than you had before? Or you think it's just a failed state and nothing good will come out of it, whether technology or no technology?
I have no opinion in that here.
My man is trying to be careful, but at least you have said that whatever we've been dreaming of is affordable, achievable rather.
Yeah, so technology enhances transparency, no doubt. And you have audit trails, you can get things, but sometimes in many places, technology works best when it's not political.
Why would you say that?
Yeah, because of all the interest that comes around it. So it's always in banking, technology is working fine. So I know about that in fintech. I know about that, but that terrain, I don't know.
Well, there is a lot of abracadabra when it comes to politics. Well, but we are hoping that gradually we'll get to that point where transparency, because of technology, will have such transparency that whoever comes to the throne, as it were, we will believe that it was the people who spoke and installed whoever it is. And that alone helps to make the people have confidence in the government and feel a sense of belonging and feel a sense of ownership so that they can support the government as well. But for so far, I think we will thank God for small mercies, that at least we have the beavers and all that. A final word to the people, especially the youths who might want to venture into technology and feel that the terrain is still too harsh for them. You are in it, you survived it, so let them know some things.
There's never a better time to get into tech than now. You have a lot of opportunities. The social media, the internet is there. You can learn anything just at the cost of data. So once you can get data on the phone, and I'll just advise them, follow technology experts online. They are always ready to share, always ready to mentor, always ready to give back. So now they have everything to succeed, actually, everything.
Yeah.
They have the people contact, and we're also having companies now around us that are even big tech companies now opening shop in the country. So that's also another advantage. And it's also an area where you can sit down here and get remote opportunity. So you can earn in foreign currency while even in the country. So it's never, this is the very best time for them to take that opportunity. And you don't need to study STEM sciences to be able to take that opportunity. So we have different career in tech, product management, user researcher, coder, project managers, and all that. So even if you are humanities, if you study psychology, if you study sociology, you have a role to play in tech, because tech is about people.
For the political magicians, because Oladipupo just said that tech works better when it doesn't have politics involved in it. But we're getting there, and right now we're proud that our electoral system has some form of tech which is giving us this confidence that it will be a free and fair election. At least it will be transparent enough for us to see it as being free and fair. We've been talking with Oladipupo Bolaji, who is a tech expert here with us today, and he's been giving us insight into the importance of tech and what the next administration needs to do to make sure technology or that sector of our economy flourishes. Thank you so much, Oladipupo, for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, we'll take a short break, and when we return, remember that recently we spoke with a legal practitioner. We tried to x-ray the actions of the court and the actions of the Kaduna State Governor, El Rufai, concerning the CBN or countering the CBN and even the President's directive over the Naira scarcity. Barrister Abumere Osara, legal practitioner and notary public, spoke with us. Stay with us. When we return, we'll bring you that clip.
On Plus TV News now. 3 states sue Malami Emefiele for disobeying Supreme Court's order. APC presidential candidate Bola Tinubu promises Buhari that he will work for Nigerians. Fresh clash between rebels and troops rock eastern DRC. U.S. President Joe Biden promises unwavering support for Ukraine. Good evening. I am Maureen Menongwezigwe, and this is News Now. Kaduna, Kogi, and Zamfara states have filed contempt proceedings against the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, and the Central Bank Governor, Godwin Emefiele, over their alleged failure to comply with the Supreme Court order on old Naira notes. In the fresh documents filed before the court, the 3 states warned the AGF and the CBN governor of the consequences of their continued failure to comply with the Apex Court's order made on February 3rd. The 2 sets of Form 48 filed by the lawyers for the 3 states form part of the applications for consideration by the Supreme Court justices when the matter resumes on Wednesday. The states have argued that implementation of the policy has caused untold hardship for residents. Recall that on February 8, the Apex Court had restrained the CBN from going ahead with a deadline on the use of old notes following an Apex parte application brought by the 3 states. Amid the Naira scarcity saga in Nigeria, Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai says the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, the CBN, Godwin Emefiele, is not a member of the All Progressive Congress, the APC. El-Rufai said the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, appointed Emefiele as CBN governor. The governor spoke in an interview with BBC Hausa while reacting to the Naira crisis being witnessed in Nigeria. El-Rufai said the identity of those working with Emefiele will be revealed at the right time. Meanwhile, Governor Nasir El-Rufai has denied reports that he revoked the certificate of occupancy of a bank in the state. Reports had on Monday emerged that El-Rufai had revoked the bank's license for failing to comply with this directive to accept the old 500 and 1,000 Naira notes from customers in the state. But tweeting his reaction, the governor said the report was a lie. The Ogun State chapter of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, has blamed the Shagamu riot on Governor Dapo Abiodun's directive that residents should continue to spend old Naira notes despite the expiration of the deadline given by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Earlier violent protests began in front of the palace of the Akaribo of Remoland, Oba Babatunde Ajayi, with some youths barricading roads and setting bonfires. They set 3 commercial banks on fire, invaded the council secretariat, and carted away the legislative house mace. Abiodun, however, condemned the Shagamu riot and described it as politically motivated. Addressing newsmen, the state secretary of PDP, Sunday Solarin, dismissed Abiodun's allegations, saying the governor also distributed old notes to the residents, thereby instigating people against the federal government.
That pretended to be a protest on the Naira design or the cash swap. But what I've seen this morning does not tell me that there were no other motives behind this protest.
It's obvious that the current government had abandoned the fundamental and constitutional responsibility of providing security of life and property, because the governor of the state is the chief security officer of the state. Approaching election, I want to believe and admonish the state government to desist from inciting public against any political party. Leaders should make statements that will restore calmness, that will bring about peace and tranquility in the society, not statement that is capable of causing further, destruction within the society. And this is uncalled for, and it should not be expected of any person worthy to be called a leader in our.
Nigerian First Lady Aisha Buhari has disowned the post on her Instagram and Facebook pages, alleging that the Central Bank of Nigeria, the CBN, ordered deposit money banks to collect the old 500 naira and 1,000 naira notes till May. Aisha, who blamed the post on criminals who may have hacked her account, said the post has been deleted on her order. In a rebuttal posted on her Facebook page, the wife of President Muhammadu Buhari lamented how the alleged hackers toiled with her previous posts. The Apex Bank had since debunked the report. The Kano State Governor Abdullahi Ganduje has described the cashless policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria as COVID-23. Lamenting the hardship occasioned by the scarcity of cash, the governor kicked against the policy. Ganduje said this while distributing palliatives to the 44 local government areas of the state in a bid to cushion the effects of the redesigning program. Despite President Muhammadu Buhari's directive banning the old 500 and 1,000 naira notes, Ganduje and other governors elected under the platform of the All Progressive Congress had vowed to reverse the policy. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu has urged the international community to respect Nigeria's sovereignty. Yakubu said this in Abuja during the briefing of accredited local and international observers. The INEC board said the 2023 elections will be the largest deployment of domestic and international observers in the history of the country, with the accreditation and deployment of a total of 229 groups and deploying 146,913 observers.
We have benefited from your previous election observation reports. So much of the innovations introduced over time has benefited from your observation report. So we don't take your options lightly. Your recommendations that require administrative action by the Commission, we just went ahead and implemented those recommendations. Those requiring legislation or amendment, particularly of the subsidiary legislation, the Electoral Act, we engaged with the National Assembly to provide the necessary legislation.
Meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has deployed 3,508 units of the Bimodal Voters Accreditation System, the BVAS, for the presidential, House of Representatives, and State House Assembly elections in Kogi State. The Kogi State Resident Electoral Commissioner, Dr. Gabriel Longpet, announced this during a press briefing with journalists in Lokoja on Tuesday. Longpet said Kogi State has a total of 1.9 million people expected to vote during the February 25th election. He acknowledged that there are some beavers that malfunctioned during the INEC mock exercise, stressing that they have been replaced, as INEC has many backups in case any machine fails. The INEC rec hinted that security agencies had given the Commission assurance that all voters, including their staff, will be safe before, during, and after the election. Kogi Resident Electoral Commissioner Hale Longpet has dismissed reports of attack on INEC office in Okehi local government area of the state as untrue. Reports had earlier emerged that the Okehi local government secretariat was bombed by unknown gunmen on Monday night. Kogi Police Command Public Relations Officer SP Williams Oviaya, who confirmed the incident to journalists, said no casualties were recorded. Oviaya also warned citizens against disrupting the forthcoming elections in the state. However, Longpet, who spoke during a news conference ahead of the 2023 general elections in Lokoja on Tuesday, said the INEC office in the state was not affected. The presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, the APC, Bola Tinubu, says President Muhammadu Buhari's expected hard work for his bid in Saturday's poll will benefit the country. Tinubu made the declaration during a rally held at Teslim Balogun Stadium, Surulere in Lagos State, serving as the grand finale of the APC presidential campaign. Tinubu said those who look helpless today will be helpful in this country as all the agenda set in their program, Renewed Hope Manifesto, will be pursued diligently and vigorously.
Mr. President, I have much to say, but I've kept you waiting for too long, and it's not today. But I assure you, as you work hard for me, I will work hard for you. Oh, thank you, thank you. As you give Nigeria the hope to renew their faith in their country, I will sustain that hope. And we bring it to you. Those who look helpless today will be helpful in this country.
Ahead of the presidential elections, the Labour Party has urged Nigerians not to vote based on party or religious sentiments, but competency of personalities. The party promised to break the history of Nigeria's democratic systems with large votes from the north to ensure Peter Obi's emergence as president. Director of Youth Affairs, Labour Party for Obidati Presidential Campaign Council, Issa Abubakar, said Nigerians are fed up with the two major political parties who have failed them. Abubakar said Nigerians are clamoring for change from 20 years of bad governance, stressing that Northerners have been at the receiving end for decades.
People, Nigerian youth, Nigerian women should resist any temptation by these two major political parties to resurface themselves back to power again come the 25th of February 2023. Major vote for Labour Party is coming from the north. In the past 8 years of Buhari administration like northern Nigeria, or in the last 16 years of the PDP government and the northerners. Northerners have been affected by insurgents and maladministration of the PDP and APC government. So Northerners will surprise these two major political parties and voting Peter Obi as the next president of Nigeria.
He urged Nigerians to change the narrative by coming out en masse on election day to vote the Labour Party.
My call to Nigeria is that we're about to do something new. We're about to overthrow an elected government that has failed for 8 years to also enthrone a democratically elected president for the next 4 years. This election should define a new Nigeria. This election should give Nigeria that liberation it has been waiting for. This election should be a bloodless revolution. A bloodless revolution that all we needed to use is our PVC to elect a competent leader that will define or that will make Nigeria knows they are important as citizens, that will make Nigeria understand the reason why good leadership is very, very important.
The Rivers State Governor, Nyesom Wike, has declared that the people of the state would not vote for the PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar over his remark about the state. Abubakar, during a town hall meeting with PDP stakeholders from Rivers in Abuja, said the party's presidential campaign rally in the state was cancelled in order to avoid unnecessary violence and bloodshed. Wike, who reacted to Atiku's statement when he flagged off the construction of the Umuahia Alabana Tema Road in Umuahia local government area of the state, noted that it was an insult for the PDP candidate to meet Rivers people outside the state ahead of the election.
You cannot come to Rivers State and talk to us. You say Rivers State is not safe, but you want their vote. Rivers people, will you allow that? No. Those who declare our state to be unsafe are those who are seeking for a vote. It's unfortunate. No amount of blackmail, no amount of intimidation can change our position. Our position is we want the unity of Nigeria. We want Nigeria to be united and move forward. All of us can attest what our people have suffered in this room. Kidnapping, armed robbing, mentioning all kinds of vices. And I pray to God, God, if there's one thing I will start and hand over to my successor, let it be that I started the construction of this MOA to Abalaba Tema Junction.
Meanwhile, the spokesman of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council and Commissioner for Information in Delta State, Charles Aniago, says the governor of Rivers State, Governor Nyesom Wike, is a bad loser as he represents bad governance. Aniago said this in a state conference in Asaba, the state capital. Aniago maintained that Wike is in a class of his own and his actions can't be accepted in any political party.
He's in a class of his own. It's not even something that can happen in any political party. It is just on his own. And I've never seen such a bad loser. Election that he lost in a free and fair contest. He's sucking for I don't know how long. Wike represents everything bad about.
Ahead of Saturday's and 11th March elections, a civil society group in Kano, Organization for Community Civic Engagement, has advised Nigerians to come out in mass to vote the right leaders who will change the current economic hardship bedeviling the country. Speaking to newsmen, Executive Director of the group, Abdulrazak Al-Khali, said some politicians believe that the CBN's policy is targeted at them as it will make useless their financial power, hence they are fighting by sponsoring violent protests. He urged Nigerians to come out and avoid money bags and make it difficult for corrupt politicians who are trying to truncate the country's democracy.
Nigerian women should
Would you apologize for that?
resist.
Would you apologize for that mix-up? Going forward, the Edo State Resident Electoral Commissioner of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Obo Efanga, says over 79% of eligible voters have collected their permanent voters' cards in the state. The Commissioner, Obo Efanga, made this known while briefing journalists at the Commission's Secretariat in Benin City ahead of the February 25th and March 11th elections, respectively. Efanga also re-emphasized the importance of the BVAS in ensuring the Commission conducts a free, fair, and credible election exercise in the state. The INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner in Adamawa State, Barrister Hudu Yunusa Ari, has expressed the readiness of the Commission to conduct credible polls in the state. Ari, who made the disclosure during a press briefing in Yola, noted the Commission has received 4,104 bimodal voters accreditation system for the 4,104 electoral units in the state. He said to ensure credible polls in the state, INEC has met with all stakeholders and harped on the need for them to ensure fair, free, and hitch-free elections.
Taken delivery of 4,104 VIVAs. That is the bimodal voter accreditation system for the state. We are still expecting more, about 275 as a backup. This is to ease. So if there are there may be some need for replacement during the elections. BVAS will be used for the 2020 general elections in all polling units in the state. In addition, the Commission will also deploy technology for transmitting election results from the polling units, known as IRV, using the BVAS also to ensure election results are.
He said the Commission has also configured, tested, verified, and labeled the BVAS according to the polling units to ensure that equipment is ready for use during the election.
Also configured, tested, and verified and labeled the BVAS according to the polling units covering the state. That equipment is already used during the election. We shall deploy all BVAS to the election this midweek for charging and readiness for the election. BVAS will ensure one man, one vote.
The lawmaker representing Kogi West at the National Assembly, Senator Smart Adeyemi, has vowed to bring a smart approach to issues in the Kogi state government if elected. He made this declaration while speaking with journalists in an interactive session in Abuja, hours after obtaining 50 million naira All Progressive Congress governorship form for Kogi State. Smart said for fairness and equity, Kogi West should be allowed to produce the next governor of the state, since the two other zones have occupied the position at different times, adding that he is the aspirant most suitable for the job.
As far as Kogi State is concerned, we do not even need much of government attention, because all that is required to make our state great is already in the soil there. We are endowed people. We just need to galvanize these resources together and create wealth and create job for people and make them to understand that everything that is required to make us great is already in our land. Okay, so for me, I intend to look at how I can make Kogi build upon the foundation. I wouldn't say those who are there have not done well, but when they come, it's going to be different. And we are talking about a smart approach to issues, okay? So I'm going to come with a master plan that will help to evolve a state that...
The Labour Party candidate support group have called on youth across the country to resist the temptation of being used to manipulate the electoral process come Saturday, 25th February, for the presidential and National Assembly elections. The leader of the group, an ex-presidential aspirant under the National Rescue Movement, Dr. Emeka Mandela, said this during a press conference in Abuja with the theme Action Plan to Checkmate Vote Buying and Election Manipulation in Nigeria. Mandela, however, called on security agencies to ensure that the lives of the citizens are protected and they should not allow themselves to be used by politicians to manipulate the election. The Police Service Commission, PSC, has withdrawn the appointment of Najatu Muhammad as one of the commissioners to oversee the activities of the police during the general election. Ike Chukwani, the PSC spokesperson, announced development in a statement on Monday. Muhammad has been listed as one of the PSC commissioners to oversee the activities of the police in the Northwest during the general election. But the APC Presidential Campaign Council rejected the appointment, saying that the role given to Muhammad requires her to be unbiased, adding that she had made some comments against Bola Tinubu, the party's standard bearer. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Irabo, has met with service chiefs and heads of security agencies in Abuja with a promise to provide a conducive environment for crisis-free elections in the country. The CDS said the armed forces, police, and other authorities were battle-ready to give a bloody nose to any person or group of persons who may want to scuttle the electoral process. He called on Nigerians to go and cast their votes for candidates of their choice without fear of being attacked, as adequate security measures have been put in place to protect law-abiding citizens. The meeting took place at the Defense Headquarters.
The security for the elections, and as you know, the police is the lead agency for elections security. And we have compared notes and assessed the entire situation, and we are good to go. The assessment is that we are set on all fronts. We equally got representation from the INEC chairman, who, of course, you have interacted with, who has also told Nigerians and the world that they are ready for this election. So, by and large, we are good to go. And I'd like to use this opportunity to assure Nigerians that on the security front, we are.
The Osun State Governor, Senator Ademola Adeleke, has enjoined residents to eschew violence during the forthcoming general elections in Nigeria. Governor Adeleke gave the advice while addressing heads of security agencies. Recall that the Osun All Progressive Congress had on Wednesday, during a press conference, berated the state governor, Ademola Adeleke, for his failure to hold a security meeting since his inauguration in November of 2022. The governor, who reiterated that a peaceful poll will deepen Nigerians' democracy and enhance further realization of good governance, added that democracy should be devoid of violence and the electorate should be free to make their choices. Ahead of the 2023 elections, the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, Kaduna State Chapter, has organized special prayers to seek the face of God for free, fair, transparent, and violence-free elections before, during, and after the new birth of Nigeria. According to Khan, no nation grows, develops, and enjoys dividends of democracy in an atmosphere of chaos in electing their leaders. Plus TV News correspondent Habila Durofai filed in this report.
We're calling God. 2023 general elections is one of its kind. In the history of Nigeria, our citizens yearning for positive change look forward for credible and competent leaders to govern them. This brings Christian faithfuls from all walks of life in Kaduna State to intensify prayers for peaceful and violence-free elections as the state has had its fair share in political violence over the years. The Khan chairman, Kaduna State chapter, Reverend Dr. Joseph Ayab, has called for the calm, peaceful and orderly conduct of voters as they vote in credible candidates that will change the political narratives of the country and give new hope for the unity, peace and development of the country. He advised all Christians to exercise their civic right wisely to vote in God-fearing leaders that will carefully manage the resources for the benefit of all without discrimination.
God can turn the heart of the king to every direction like a watercourse. So we are simply saying, God, the heart of INEC, the security agencies, those in power, the political gladiators, everybody's heart is in your hand, including those who will come out and vote. Direct them to the area that will just have election without crisis. Direct them to the area that election will be credible and we won't have contentious issues. Direct them to the part that people will just go and choose the candidate of their choice without fighting and creating unnecessary tension. There are so many innocent people who are suffering just because of political differences.
The Christian body warned Nigerians against selling their votes for peanuts, saying vote buying is an indication that one is inviting another 4 years of any kind of suffering, noting that the future of the country depends on credible leaders.
Khan has given the kind of quality we expect from the leaders people should vote. So neither the national Khan nor a state Khan can say she has endorsed anybody. The simple thing we want is go out and vote your conscience, but be sure you vote for a candidate you are sure will deliver the good. No one should allow, your PVC should be like your PIN number. You don't need to give your PIN number to anybody. Those who are collecting PVC should tell us why they're collecting PVCs.
Also, special prayers were offered for electoral umpires, security agencies, and other key stakeholders to ensure the peaceful elections for Nigeria to remain as one family.
This election shall be peaceful. Father, I beg you that no human life will be lost. From Kaduna State to the end of Nigeria, I ask, O Lord, King of Glory, that no life will be lost because of this election.
The Christian Association of Nigeria insists that it has not endorsed any candidate for members to vote, but stands against a Muslim ticket who have no respect for Christians.
Ahead of this weekend's elections, the National Orientation Agency, in partnership with IKID Foundation, has taken its sensitization drive to the Ijaji Timber Market in Abuja. Plus TV Emmanuel Ehijene completes the report.
As the general elections commence on Saturday, this group is collaborating with the National Orientation Agency to sensitize the Ijaji Timber Market sellers in the FCT. While expressing satisfaction with the turnout, they took turns to educate their electorate while also taking them through the rudiment of the voting procedures. They cautioned against vote selling and buying and the need to thumbprint on the ballot paper with the right finger to avoid voided votes.
People should go out and cast their votes. See, we are observing from previous elections. We have noted a lot of apathy because of one problem or the other. And another thing is the fear of people that there will be violence on the day of election. But the security agents have assured us of their preparedness to ensure that there will be no violence on election, any of these election days. So people should feel free to come out and exercise their franchise.
Election is a key component to improving livelihoods of the last man. And then one of the reasons why we're here at the market is to come directly to the last man and teach them how to vote on the day of voting. They've gone out, they've collected their PVCs, they're all upbeat about the elections. They want to participate in the elections, and we want their votes to count.
You go your polling units, then get some things where you go check. One of them, then get one machine, then they call them beavers. Now new machine where INEC bring. Every polling unit go get their own beavers. Now that machine, before INEC get one machine, then they call them smart card reader. But for this election, INEC don't change them now. The new name now beavers. And with that machine, then go either check your face or then go check your fingerprints. Make sure say now you get the PVC where you hold. For your polling units, they also get waiting and they call result sheets. Because after everybody votes on that day, then go use that result sheet count all the people who vote that day.
The foundation also conducted a mock voting exercise with market sellers to further demonstrate the process on election day. Chairman of the association, who spoke on behalf of his members, said the sensitization exercise is a worthy one with many lessons learnt.
I don't take it serious. I say, even if I vote now can't no need to, because of the kind of awareness and also what we are passing through, the insecurity in the land, the things have turned upside down. So I have to join other people, the youth, to get a new Nigeria, which I believe this time around we are going to get a new Nigeria.
From this exercise, it is obvious that Nigerians are ready for the election, which will determine who the leaders will be, as well as who occupies the Aso Rock Villa for the next 4 years.
A court of appeal sitting in Ado-Ekiti has upheld the judgment of the lower court, validating the victory of the Ekiti State Governor, Biodun Oyebanji, at the June 18 governorship election in the state. Delivering the judgment through Zoom, Justice Hama Akawo Barka, who led a 3-member panel, dismissed the petition filed by Sheguni, candidate of the Social Democratic Party, for lacking merit. Speaking to journalists, the Council to Social Democratic Party, the SDP, Oweseni Ajayi, said they will appeal the judgment, while the council representing the All Progressive Congress, Kabir Akimbolu, applauded the judiciary for the judgment.
If they have thoroughly looked at that judgment vis-a-vis the case of the Deputy Governor of Ekiti State now, you will discover that we still have abundant hope in the legal system that anything could happen at the Supreme Court. So they should not rejoice over what has happened here today. And we are rather hopeful that the issues are narrowed down and the Supreme Court will take a final decision on this matter.
It's like that to happen because they want to vent their anger. It's a constitutional right to appeal. So to get to the Supreme Court is expected because issues, law has to develop and issues will spring up. And as it springs up, as they spring up, they have to be dealt with. That is just the issue.
In a swift reaction, the Chief Press Secretary to Ekiti State Governor Yinka Adebode said the judgment affirms the validity of Oyebanji's mandate, calling on Sheguni to join hands with the administration to develop the state.
All this going in and out of court. He has been able to exercise constitutional right by going to court, but now that the court has been able to reaffirm the mandate given to Biodun Oyebanji, I think it's that time he also dropped the series of cases and let us move the state forward.
A federal high court in Abuja has dismissed a suit seeking the removal of Alkali Baba Usman as Inspector General of Police. The suit, instituted against President Muhammadu Buhari and 4 others by an Abuja activist, Michael Sam Idoko, was dismissed by Justice John Omotoso. In his judgment, Justice Omotoso invoked Section 7, subsection 6 of the Police Act 2020, which put the tenure of police of any Inspector General of Police at 4 years. The judge held that the retirement of Alkali Baba Usman from the Nigeria Police Force has nothing to do with his appointment, on the ground that the 4-year tenure is sacrosanct. 70 religious groups, trade unions, organizations, and individuals on Monday were presented with different brands of vehicles courtesy of the governorship candidate of the All Progressive Congress in Adamawa State, Senator Aisha Dahiru Ahmed Binani. Making the presentation at Muhammadu Buhari Square, Jimeta Yola, Senator Binani said the gesture is in fulfillment of her campaign promises and charged beneficiaries to make judicious use of the vehicles. Senator Binani explained that the beneficiaries were carefully selected based on their contributions to the society, noting that supporting such groups means touching the lives of people at the grassroots. The plight and agony of the Lele Basa community in Kwali Area Council in Abuja has drawn the attention of the non-governmental organization Action Aid as the world marks the Social Justice Day. The 20th of February every year has been set aside by the United Nations in recognition of persons or communities who suffer injustices around the world, and they need to draw attention to their plight. Plus TV Emmanuel Ehijene completes the story.
Lele Basa community is situated along the Lokoja-Abuja Expressway in Kwali Area Council of the Federal Capital Territory. But despite its proximity to the seat of power, the area still looks remote with no visible infrastructure in sight, except for two structures housing a primary and secondary operating side by side. There are no roads, no health center, nor any basic infrastructure. The representative of the country director, Action Aid Nigeria, called on the government to build infrastructure for the people of Lele Basa so that they can also enjoy life like other communities. They also urged the CBN to rethink its card swap policy, which has taken a negative toll on the people, especially the downtrodden in the country. In a similar vein, the project director, Action Aid, explained Lele Basa community was specifically selected for the event because it suffers from all forms of oppressions ranging from land grabbing to lack of basic infrastructure.
This particular community where we are, land grabbing is a big issue. Government takes land at will from people, and they give this out to investors who are not even Nigerians. If we fix the rural communities and villages, you have many people staying back to till the land and get more people employed to ensure that there is high standard of living in the rural communities.
We chose this community, Lele Basa, to celebrate this event on two reasons. The first reason is for the world to see the kind of injustice meted out against communities who pay tax, communities who also perform their civic duties, but yet deprived of social amenities.
Members of the community expressed joy by the visit with the hope that their cries will get to the authorities.
We don't have farm to farm again because there are so many people. Where we are in the house like this, some people are in the farm selling our land. When they talk, they will say that it's from area council, whereby it's a lie. Then they now collect all our land in Lele Basa. We don't have where to farm. Even this year, the way we used to farm and get some things, this year we don't get it like that because the farm is tired and we don't have money to buy fertilizer.
Somebody do come and collect some land that they collect, more than 100 acre, 150 acre. They'll collect the whole land. They say they bought it from the government. They'll be saying that this one, if the people are not going to release the land, they'll have issue with people, they'll sue to court. So some of those things, they did take our land now. Fortunately, as I'm talking to you, all the way from Pay Junction, from Junction there, that is Express Road, to down to Pay here. There is no free land that has not been occupied with people.
This year's theme is overcoming barriers and unleashing opportunities for social justice.
Still ahead, U.S. President Joe Biden promises unwavering support for Ukraine. Details when we return.
An African girl somewhere is sitting at home, accompanied by dreams that seem so far away. Africa is one of the continents with the highest out-of-school percentage in education, and girls are at an early disadvantage. The sub-Saharan Africa records about 18 million out-of-school girls. This gender gap extends to the tech space with a projection of only a 33% global female workforce representation in tech firms for 2022. you. Let us help change the stories and numbers. Africa Agility's Project Train a Girl campaign is working to help train African girls in tech. You can donate as little as $2 or 2,000 naira to help a girl in tech get her heels in the door. Visit www.africaagility.rallyup.com/PTAG to donate.
There is a huge difference between the relative experience of salary earners and those of business owners and entrepreneurs. Someone who has never had cause to set up a business of his, who has never had cause to source for funds, turn it around, pay salaries, pay back the loan, and still make profit cannot be expected to be hands-on when saddled with an economy the size of Lagos. Experience that hasn't curbed Lagos's traffic in 24 years of their reign. Experience that hasn't addressed Lagos's perennial flood. Experience that currently leaves us with over 2 million out-of-school children. The duo of Jandor and Funke have been investing in Lagos's economy for about 2 decades, running their personal businesses, employing people with track records of success. Lagos needs a breath of fresh air. Vote Dr. Abdulaziz Olajide Adediran Jandor as Governor of Lagos State. PDP! Power to the people!
A new day has finally come for citizens with disabilities in Nigeria. You can now participate in the electoral processes without any worry whatsoever. The new Electoral Act of 2022 has made robust provisions to ensure persons with disabilities are not left out of the electoral process. The Disability Act and the Electoral Act has mandated INEC to provide special assistance for citizens with disabilities at the polling booth. As a citizen with a disability, you are entitled to non-discrimination, priority voting, braille ballots for the blind, magnifying glasses for albinos, election day instructions to support the deaf, among other provisions. So, when you arrive at your polling unit on election day, all you need to do is present yourself to the polling officer in charge and you will be given the required support. It is your right by law. Now, nothing can stop you from being part of the electoral process. You are a citizen, and with your voter's card, you are one of the owners of Nigeria. Go out and make your voice heard as we recruit those that will serve us on election day. This message is brought to you by the Campaign for Equal Voting Access, a program of the Center for Citizens with Disabilities, with support from MacArthur Foundation.
Welcome back. You're still watching News Now on Plus TV Africa. Moving to the other parts of the world, the French Minister of Armed Forces, Sébastien Lecornu, has welcomed the evolution of the Ivorian Army over the past 10 years. He said this during a visit to Abidjan. He declined to comment on Burkina Faso's recent decision, even as he re-emphasized France's commitment to engagement with security issues in West Africa, where the Islamist insurgency is spreading. Fighting reportedly flared on Monday between the DR Congo's army and the M23 rebels. Speaking on condition of anonymity, a security source said clashes began at 5 a.m. in the Kishanga area, northwest of the main eastern city of Goma. The fighting comes as regional leaders called once again on Friday for a ceasefire and for all armed groups to withdraw from the occupied territory by March 30. Mauritius was battered by heavy rain on Monday as intense tropical storm Freddy neared the country. Many businesses were forced to close and the Indian Ocean Archipelago's International Airport was shut. As at 10 p.m. local time, the Mauritius Meteorological Services said the cyclone had passed at its closest distance from the island at about 120 kilometers to the north of Grand Bay. The body had issued a Class 3 cyclone warning, level 3 out of 4 for Mauritius Island. The Islamist-inspired Ennahda Party has announced that its leader, Rakat Gunakouchi, was the target of a new police investigation in the wake of a series of arrests in political circles. Ennahda spokesman Imad Kemeri told reporters that 81-year-old Gunakouchi has been asked to appear at the Aina police station in the northern suburbs of Tunis on Tuesday. A party official said the complaint in question had been filed by a member of a police union claiming to have a telephone recording of Mr. Gunakouchi. Two top German ministers have visited the quake-hit Turkish-Syrian border region and pledged their enduring support in aid and reconstruction efforts 1 day after two new earthquakes rocked the region. Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock spoke during a visit with Interior Minister Nancy Faeser to southeastern Turkey. Faeser assured the region of Germany's deeply felt solidarity. Germany was quick to send considerable amounts of aid to the region. The EU country has a special relationship with Turkey, as it is home to the largest community in the Turkish diaspora. Fresh from an unannounced visit to Ukraine, President Joe Biden, U.S. President, has rallied NATO allies to Poland, proclaiming unwavering support for Kiev and a commitment to bolstering the alliance's eastern flank. On a trip clearly timed to overshadow a major speech by Russian President Vladimir Putin before the anniversary of the invasion, Biden met Polish President Andrzej Duda, one of the most vocal opponents of stronger Western support for Ukraine. The U.S. President was due to give a keynote speech of his own later on Tuesday, in which he would rally support for Ukraine as the war enters its second year with no end in sight. He opened his trip on Monday with an unannounced trip to Ukraine, billed as the first time a U.S. president has made such a journey to a country at war without U.S. troops on the ground controlling the area.
It needs Poland and NATO as much as NATO needs the United States, because there is no way in which, for our ability to operate anywhere else in the world and our responsibilities extend beyond Europe, we have to have a security in Europe. It's that basic, that simple, that consequential. So it's the single most consequential alliance, I would argue, maybe the most consequential alliance in history, that not just modern history, but in history. As I told President Zelensky when we spoke in Kyiv yesterday, I can proudly say that our support for Ukraine remains unwavering. And as I told our Russian counterpart, it's a while now, I said, you're seeking the Finlandization of NATO. You're going to get the NATOization of Finland. And it turns out I didn't know Sweden was coming along as well. But all kidding aside, I think we're in if we keep our head and we are focused, I think we're in a better position than we've ever been. And so there's a lot of challenges that we have to face, but I'm confident we can do it together and develop our partnership even further as we meet the challenges we're about to face. I'm absolutely confident in that.
Up next, Minister of State for Petroleum Resources counters NUPRC, blames oil loss on theft instead. That's in business news when we return.
In business news, in recognition of the role energy industry will play in the development of the Nigerian economy, the federal government has assured Nigerians of plans to unveil a ground plan that will revolutionize the sector and the nation's economy. The Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Adeleke Mamara, disclosed this while speaking at the National Forum and Awards Ceremony of Global Cleantech Innovation Program in Lagos. The minister, who was represented by the Director, Department of of Environmental Sciences and Technology at the Federal Ministry of Science and Technology, Dr. Peter Ekwezo, said the energy sector is capable of positioning Nigeria on a global scale. He stated that the government is ever ready to work with the private sector to deploy green technology throughout the country. The Director General, Securities and Exchange Commission, Mr. Lamido Yuguda, has said the capital market is working to develop products that will make the market attractive to the younger generation. Yuguda, who was represented by the head office of the chief economist, Dr. Oke Umano, said this during an interview. He stated that the move was one of the provisions of the revised capital market plan and advised youths that the capital market was a viable platform for wealth creation. Now, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited on Monday said it had about 1.8 billion litres of premium motor spirits, popularly called petrol, that would be enough from mid-February to March 2023. It said this was part of concerted efforts to put in place to sustain the supply of petroleum products across the country in order to forestall the re-emergence of queues in Nigeria. There had been reports on Monday that few queues might return to filling stations soon if NNPCL failed to ramp up importation and beef up petrol supplies across the country. All marketers had said in Lagos that NNPCL depots that feed private depots across the country ran out of supplies over the weekend following the mopping up of available supplies by all marketers. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Chief Temipire Silva, has insisted that crude oil losses in Nigeria were due to theft and pipeline vandalism, opposing the position earlier given by the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. And on Sunday, the NUPRC announced that about 40% of the volumes credited to crude oil losses in the Nigerian petroleum industry were due to measurement inaccuracies and not theft. Silva also attributed the loss of revenue from crude production to theft, pipeline vandalism, and decayed infrastructure, according to a statement issued in Abuja by his senior advisor, Media and Communications, Horatius Egwa. The minister, however, stated that despite the challenges, the federal government was determined to end the trend through improved investments and security along the major oil and gas pipelines in the Niger Delta region. And that's it on Business News. I am Kimberly Ubiebo.
Well, up next is entertainment news.
E-Money gives actor Yor a brand new car. Yor Ninja, a comic actor and OAP, has received a brand new Land Cruiser from E-Money, a well-known Nigerian businessman. It appears that E-Money has made it his trademark to give out various gifts on his birthdays. The businessman, who recently celebrated his birthday, gave away 6 luxury cars, iPhones, cash gifts, and more during the festivities. Nigerian artist and content creator Speed Darlington has shared his reservations about Nigerian international sensations Tems and Tenny, both of whom he claims are copying Nigerian superstar Tiwa Savage. In an interview on a podcast, Speed Darlington highlighted the similarities in the first alphabet in the names of Tems, Tenny, and Tiwa Savage, which he called a pattern. He stated that at the risk of sounding jealous, he had to state that Tenny and Tems' choice of stage name was an imitation of Tiwa's name. The host attempted to draw his attention to the fact that Tems and Tenny are basically abbreviations of their names, but Speed Darlington was having none of it. The content creator and artist, who gained fame for his curious type of music and social media antics, stated that he believes artists should be creative, and he wasn't seeing any creativity from Tems and Tenny. His comments on Tenny and Tems will likely be classified as another of his many funny takes, which has made him popular on Nigerian social media. Madonna has admitted to getting plastic surgery 2 weeks after her unrecognizable appearance at the 2023 Grammys. "Look how cute I am now. That swelling from surgery has gone down, lol," she wrote along with a photo of her posing in ripped jeans and a spiritually hungry hat. Earlier this month, the 64-year-old singer was dragged by fans as she showed off her smooth visage, sculpted cheeks, and plump out while presenting at the Grammys. After her appearance, she confronted the criticism in a lengthy Instagram post, hitting out at ageism and misogyny. According to Madonna, it was the close-up from a long-lens camera that distorted her face and made it appear rounder and puffier than it actually was. Nadia Nakai, the girlfriend of late South African rapper AKA, has taken to Instagram to share an emotional tribute to her late partner. Nakai, who was the rapper's lover until snatched by the cold hands of death, lamented bitterly, writing that this wasn't their future plan. She shared a video of them together joking and having fun and captured it with her feelings, expressing her pain at his untimely passing. In unfortunate news, the rapper was shot on the 10th of February in a drive-by in Durban while outside a restaurant with his friends.
Let's now join our sports desk for sports news.
Nigeria Vice Captain William Troost Ekong has sustained an injury ahead of next month's 2023 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. The experienced defender's Italian club Salernitana have announced that he will be out for 2 weeks due to an injury with Nigeria set to face Guinea-Bissau in the AFCON qualifiers. Salernitana issued a statement on their official website saying that William Troost Ekong underwent an MRI and a CAT scan at the Centro Polidiagnostico checkup, which showed a fracture of the tibial plateau following a blunt trauma. The defender has already started the physiotherapy protocol and will carry out new diagnostic checks in 2 weeks. Meanwhile, the body of the former Premier League player Christian Atsu, who was killed in the devastating earthquake in Turkey, has arrived in Ghana. Atsu's death was announced on Saturday by his agent Nana Sechere, who said the footballer's body was found 12 days after the disaster hit Turkey and Syria, claiming more than 44,000 lives. Ghana international Atsu, who died at the age of 31, had plied his trade with Chelsea, Newcastle, Everton and FC Porto, amongst other clubs, and was playing for Turkish Super League side Hatayspor at the time of his death. Atsu had been an ambassador for the global children's charity Arms Around the Child since 2016 and was the main benefactor of a new school that is nearing completion in Senya Beraku in Ghana. The coffin containing the body of Atsu arrived at the Kotoka International Airport in Ghana on Sunday evening, according to British tabloid The Daily Mail. His family members were in anguish at the airport for the arrival of his coffin, while friends poured tributes on the former Ghana midfielder.
And the main news again. 3 states have sued Malami and Emefiele for disobeying Supreme Court's order. APC presidential candidate Bola Tinubu has promised Buhari that he will work for Nigerians. A fresh clash between rebels and troops have rocked eastern DRC. And U.S. President Joe Biden has promised unwavering support for Ukraine. Now that's the news now. For more stories, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. You can also view us from Limex on www.limex.tv and Glow TV apps anywhere in the world. I am Maureen Wezigo. Many thanks for watching.
right, a beautiful Tuesday morning to every single person out there from the east, west, north, and the south, wherever it is you might be watching us from. You're welcome to the best show on this part of the globe. They call it Tea Time, where we don't just drink tea, but we analyze, dissect, and talk about every trending discussion in the world of entertainment. My name is Miles, the eighth wonder of the world, and I never, ever, ever do this alone. I always have some amazing people in the house to do it with me. But for some reason, some of them couldn't make it today because of the whole cash crunch and all that, like scarcity of naira. But hey, one of them said, you know what, come rain or shine, we're going to do Trendy Tuesday together, and Tabitha's in the building. Hi, Tabitha. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
You're looking really nice. I like the hair though.
Thank
I like
you.
the outfit. It's looking good.
I decided to do something different.
Do
I'm always on long hair and
Right.
stuff. I'm like, let me just some.
Right, what's it with women and the wigs these days? That like a lot of ladies don't like flaunting their natural hair, and when they take off the wig, and you're like, you have a really long hair. Why don't you just?
Well, for some people, for me,
Right.
I would rather have wig on than make my own hair or style it.
Why so?
Sometimes it has to do with time. So if I start thinking of what style should I do today, how should I style my hair and stuff like that. So most times I just rather have the wig, just put it on and then you're out. So for me, the wig is
I think well, guys have started wearing wigs too now, so I think I might just have to get.
Do you have one on?
Not yet.
Okay.
But I'm
just checking.
I'm thinking of purchasing one. Anyway, today's the 21st. It's 21st day in the month of February. It's almost time to say you start receiving all those messages. Ding, ding. Like you see, when it gets to like the 25th day of the month, I'm always excited. You should start looking at your phone. Any small sound.
Any small sound, you just check.
Like it just sounds like and your shoulders start going up during that period. You start feeling extreme for no reason. You just start feeling proud somehow.
You're proud.
That's when you want to eat some kind of things that you've not eaten all through. Anyways, and it's also a few days to the elections coming through, and I hope everybody's bracing up. I hope everyone has gotten their PVCs, which is very important. If you have not gotten it by now, how about what were you waiting for? But if you do have yours, please stay safe out there, and at the same time, go outside and exercise your civil responsibilities, your civil rights, and vote for the person you feel should take us to the promised land. Hopefully, will you be? You said something like you'll be voting this year.
Yeah, I will.
Have you voted in the past? Did you ever?
Yes, I have.
Really? Okay. Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. Although my dad had to force me. In fact, he threatened me. So I just came up from school.
He threatened you to vote for a particular candidate, or he threatened you to vote?
To vote, not for a particular candidate. But my mom was supporting a particular candidate. My dad was supporting yes.
That's nice.
And then I was in the middle, and my mom was telling me, "Is it I don't know if you're my daughter?" My dad was like, "I paid your school fees." Whoa. So I'm like, "Okay." Do you know that I cried because I was like, "You guys, I don't want to even vote because both of you even confused me. I don't even know who I want." As at then, I wasn't really taking all this politics, things seriously and everything. But now, I am voting.
So what if they still come up with the same?
They won't. This time, I'm in charge now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. You can also be part of the conversation by calling in on 09098-408-408. I'll take that one more time, but slowly this time. 09098-408-408, and be part of everything we might be talking about today. Do not go nowhere. It promises to be a very interesting episode. It's Tuesday, Trendy Tuesday we call it today. So today is almost like Fridays for us on Tea Time. We just let our hair down, loosen our ties a little bit, and just have some fun. Just breathe and just take it in, because there's a whole lot going on in the society right now. So sometimes we just need to chill a little bit. Like, you know what? We're still humans. Let's just breathe a little bit. Yesterday I had to beg a whole lot of my colleagues to gather 600 naira. I'm not joking. Like, please, do you have 50 naira there? Do you have everyone had money, right? But they didn't have the physical cash. Like, do you have 100 naira there? Do you have it? And I was able to gather. Now, when somebody asked me for 100 naira, it was doing like, what? Do you know how I gathered this? I'm not dashing anybody out of this body. So yeah, there's a whole lot going on out there right now.
Yeah, there is.
But we also have to just breathe a little bit and just remember that we are humans at the same time. Like, just take it easy. Take a breather, step back, and just chill. And that's why we are here for you, okay? Never fear, tea time is here. I rhymed.